It's time for Twit This Week in Tech. So much to talk about this week. Of course, the election. Was it Facebook's fault? Mark Zuckerberg says no. Our panel says, yeah. What's happening to Twitter? We think they should just give it away. And a bunch of DDoS attacks and the new emoji are here. It's all coming up next on Twit.
Netcasts you love.
From people you trust.
This is Twit.
Bandwidth for This Week in Tech is provided by CacheFly at CacheFly.com. This is Twit This Week in Tech, episode 588, recorded Sunday, November 13th, 2016. New phone. Who dis? This Week in Tech is brought to you by GoToMeeting. Why just phone conference when you can go high-tech? Better meetings start with GoToMeeting. HD video means you don't miss a thing, and screen sharing keeps everyone on task. Don't phone it in. GoToMeeting. Start your free 30-day trial at GoToMeeting.com. And by Wealthfront. Wealthfront is a low-cost, automated investment service and the most sophisticated way to invest your money. Whether you've got millions or you're just starting out, visit wealthfront.com/twit and sign up to get your free personalized investment portfolio. That's wealthfront.com/twit. And by Casper, an online retailer of premium mattresses for a fraction of the price, because everyone deserves a great night's sleep. Get $50 off any mattress purchase by visiting casper.com/twit and enter the promo code TWIT. And by Squarespace. Make your business and online store stand out with the only platform that lets you create, manage, and brand your store in a beautiful way. Enter the offer code TWIT to get 10% off. It's time for Twit This Week in Tech, the show where we cover the latest tech news. What a great panel. I like having the young people on.
Do you really?
No. I hate you millennials. No, I love it. Alex Wilhelm is here from Mattermark.
Hey everyone, good to be back.
Great to see you. And you brought another young person with you.
I did. My dear friend, Lauren Hockenson.
Love Lauren. And we actually missed you a little bit because you dropped out of the tech journalism scene.
I did, yes.
How's that
society,
been?
Really?
We're all wanting to do that now.
To be honest with you, it's been very relaxing.
Yeah.
I got on a fitness journey. It was really good.
Oh, good.
Good for me.
Oh, good. You know, the smallest journey begins with a single Big Mac.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, so you're doing a podcast, though, called Nothing Matters?
Correct. It's called Nothing Matters.
I bet your numbers are going to go through the roof this week.
I hope so.
Yeah. You talk about what'd you say, the tire fire of the internet?
Yeah, the internet's garbage. We talk about the garbage on the internet. So mostly Twitter, everything though, you know, politics, music, pop culture, the Kardashians, the
That's why you're
TV.
here this week.
Yeah.
Because that's the topic of the week.
Well, and also tech.
Oh, okay.
But everything, I mean everything.
Who's on that show with you and how can we find it?
My friend and co-host Ben Timmons is also on the show with me. And you can find it on SoundCloud, soundcloud.com/nothingmatterscast. And we also talk about, I mean, everything. Reality television, lots of politics, though, and lots of tech. So if you're into those two things, then you'll probably find something good.
The Nihilists Podcast.
Yes. Sad millennials.
There it is. Look at that.
Nice emoji headline there. You're very
Hey,
millennial.
let's talk emojis. Also here, Mike Elgan. He is our digital nomad who seems to not be nomadic these days.
Nope, not for a little while.
His website, Becoming Nomad, is all about the lifestyle.
That's right.
And I can't wait to adopt your lifestyle.
We would love to have you.
Well, meanwhile, I just have to watch from a distance. I'm kind of chained to this chair. I mean, literally.
He takes it home with him every single night. It's really kind of weird. The car, the Tesla, the ropes,
chair.
it's weird.
Bring the chair. We'd love to have you out there.
Drag it along behind me.
Just scoot slowly.
Elgan.com, ELGAN.com.
That is correct.
So, okay, we could start the show in two ways. We could start by talking about the election this week, or we could start by talking about the new emojis this week.
Broccoli before chocolate.
Yeah, I'm all about ripping the Band-Aid off.
Okay,
Let's do it.
okay, let's rip the Band-Aid, and we will tell people, though, because I have to say, I think I would bet almost all of us, on whatever side of the aisle we are kind of tired of this and would like to take a break. And I loved Garrison Keillor. I quoted this when you were here on Wednesday on Twig, to go out and, you know, what did he say? It was very funny. Take some yoga classes,
Eat some kale, something like that.
Yeah, tend to our marigolds and relax a little bit. But we will rip the Band-Aid off for this first segment. So I reassure you. In fact, if you want to fast forward through the first segment, I wouldn't blame you. But yet, I think we have to talk about a number of things, including social media's impact on the election.
Yes.
And let's do this in a nonpartisan manner. I don't, one of the things that is kind of disheartening to me is all the blame that's being thrown around now by the losing side, which happens, I guess, every 4 years. And
also the winning side, oddly enough.
Yeah, there's a lot of blame.
There's a decline in civility, I think we're all seeing.
Yes.
Maybe that's it.
Yeah.
But some of the blame rubbed off on Facebook. And I actually have very mixed feelings about this. Facebook, of course, is the source for most people, especially you young folks, you millennials. Actually, I don't know. Do young people use Facebook anymore? No, it's all Snapchat.
I have disabled my Facebook newsfeed for, I think, a year and a half now. I cannot read it. So I cannot see your boring life. Sorry.
I feel like young people are not using Facebook because mom and dad are on Facebook, and so it's really more the middle-aged folks. I don't know. Is that true?
I think that young people, as in a generation younger than Alex and I'd say
college kids, let's say.
Yes. Both Alex and I have aged out of the 18 to 25 demographic, sorry to say. Even though I was recently asked what grade I was in high school. Like 2
Did the
weeks
guy
ago.
have a van and offer you some candy?
No, thank God.
Okay.
That was banned.
I have 2 kids in college, and they both use Facebook a lot. I mean, they actually are on Facebook, and that's how I pretty much keep track of what's going on with them.
Yeah, I do think, though, that the kids are really into Snapchat and Instagram.
Yeah, they use Snapchat and Instagram a lot, too.
I think almost nobody uses just one social network. I think a lot of younger people use Facebook and also Snapchat.
Do the kids use Twitter?
Yes.
This
in the Midwest,
kid does.
they do, for sure.
Yeah, it's big in the Midwest.
Okay.
But importantly
It's
for
big
a lot,
in the Midwest?
Yes, absolutely.
Well,
Twitter
Orkut was big in Brazil. That's
in the Trump
throwback.
belt. It's
Twitter's big in the
Excuse me?
Midwest?
Twitter's huge. I have a
Trump
niece who,
belt?
Yes.
That a thing?
That's what it is now.
It's like
The
an
Rust
anti-seat
was the
belt.
Rust Belt. It's now the Trump
Now
belt.
it's the belt of sadness.
There's a belt that includes the
Now,
South
see,
and the
that's not
Midwest.
nonpartisan. Let's
Oh, I'm sorry. I broke the thing. I apologize for it. I retract it. Hashtag something. I don't know.
anyway.
Traction. Hashtag
So the
retraction.
argument about Facebook is that Facebook became a conduit for fake news. Fake news being trumped up stories.
Pun intended.
Well, about either side, but mostly about Hillary Clinton, saying things like, she's already been indicted, all sorts of stuff that was demonstrably not true, and yet because people get their news from Facebook and read it more than once, over and over and over again on Facebook, it started to get the weight of truth, and the accusation, which I'm not sure I buy, is that Facebook has some culpability for this, that they should have done something about this.
So that's a two-part point. The first thing that I'll say is for a lot of people, Facebook is the internet. It's where they start. It's where they go
I
from.
understand that.
And so for many people, they presume that what they see there has some sort of vetting, I think, behind it. They don't look at
Do they?
links.
They think there's vetting?
No, not vetting per se, but there is something there that gives it some credibility. It is
Because
not
it's
from
there.
the blue.
It's not just some random website.
Exactly.
Except that it is.
It's on
In
their,
fact, it's Macedonian random
Teenagers.
16-year-olds, yes.
random websites.
But
because they saw there's a lot of money to be made in clickbait. By the way, they're not partisan, but in clickbait articles that they promote on Facebook that drive traffic to their sites, which have ads, and they make money on this. So I was reading an interview with a Macedonian 16-year-old who created a political site for this very reason.
which would be brilliant if it didn't almost bring down Western democracy. But the reason why
that's my contention. It didn't. And by the way, Zuckerberg's also contention is that's crazy. How could that?
We'll get to Zuck.
Yeah, he's
Mike.
No, I wanted to get to Zuck. I mean, he's had a couple of obnoxious things to say about all this. The first of which is that it's crazy to say that Facebook swayed the election. And then when people like me started tweeting, so you mean you're telling your advertisers that Facebook is not influential in any way?
Oh.
Exactly.
And so he backed off that and said, well, no, 99% of the news on Facebook is legitimate news. So you're saying 1% of it is false, first of all. Second of all, you said you couldn't identify what's fake and what's real. That's a very difficult problem.
So then how can you tell me now?
Exactly. Either you know what percentage is fake or you can't tell. It doesn't. You can't have it both ways. You either can't tell or you know that 99% of it is real. So he's scrambling because he doesn't want to. Let's look at it this way. If you want to blame Zuck, think of this as a business problem. If he was losing 30 million users a month, okay, his shareholders would say you have to fix this, and he wouldn't say, well, there's nothing we can do. When it comes to making money, right? He never says, oh, we're not really like doing anything about this. Now, in fairness, he did say that he's going to do something about the fake news problem. They're going to do as much as they can.
But wait, all right.
Well, no. So here's the thing. We can look back in terms of history when it comes to the way that Facebook has dealt with news before, which is that they have, as a platform, traditionally affected the way that news has been seen on the newsfeed. Point blank, period. There was a time in which, when I was on Facebook, I could see nothing but Upworthy posts. I could see nothing but, 10,
and they fixed that.
10 ways that'll blow your mind,
Right.
mashed potatoes,
And we
whatever.
hated it, and they fixed it.
Yes, and they fixed it. And so the issue is that it comes down to is if you've interfered in the way that news is presented before on your platform, what makes this different now, and what about this time? What about the way that this news or this non-news is being disseminated through your platform? What about it makes it an exception to the rule that you've already set for yourself?
But I've been getting fake news on the internet since the internet began. I've been getting foolish emails. I've been seeing on every social medium up to this point stupidity. Why should Facebook be held responsible for how people use it? They use Facebook. Facebook is a tool.
Okay.
And I don't think Facebook needs to be any more responsible for the content than the phone company is responsible for your phone
sounds
calls.
reasonable until you realize two things. The newsfeed algorithm that sorts and shows you stuff of its own volition is an editorial product, and trending topics is also an editorial product. Facebook
I agree with you. They should dump trending
I don't care about
topics.
if they dump it or not. But as long as they're going to be making editorial choices with what content they show individual people, especially in a political nature, they're making a stand as a media company.
Just so everybody's clear on exactly what's happening, Facebook is not showing you. They're blocking, they're preventing, they're censoring, whatever you want to call it, something like 80+% of what the people you follow post, on average, generally speaking. So what is the criteria? What should it be, the criteria? Right now, the criteria is whatever's viral. Well, these false memes are designed to be viral.
So this is easy to fix.
Okay,
I think so too.
Dump trending topics and make the news feed be most recent, which, by the way, you can do for yourself.
Temporally sorted, just
temporally
linear.
sorted, no algorithm. Why can't what if Zuckerberg did that? Would everybody say, "Oh, that solves it"?
It makes less money.
Yeah, it's a 2 steps forward, 2 steps back kind of
You know why it
situation.
makes less money?
Why?
Because you don't enjoy it as much. You don't spend as much time on the page. It's not as sticky as it was.
I know that eating carbs is bad for me, but fries are delicious.
So all Facebook is doing is what it should do as its responsibility to its stakeholders, which is maximizing profits by making you spend more time on the feed. It's created a computer that is nonpartisan, that doesn't have an opinion. It's merely crafting the feed with one goal in mind. You feed into the computer, okay, your only job is to make somebody stay on that page as long as possible. Okay, got it. I'll take it from here.
I, too, am a capitalist, but I do think they have a higher moral responsibility to the people because they have 1.77 billion monthly active
that way
users.
lies trouble.
Not at all, because essentially fact-checking exists. It's a tradition that's been around for decades. Organizations are really good at it.
If you're
There are
a
100
news
organizations.
organization.
They are a news organization.
They're a
because
social media site.
They are determining what we see and what we don't see, period.
Editorial choices.
They're editing what's out there so that we see a minority of what is posted.
They're giving you more of what you want.
But here's the thing.
People don't know that also.
Right. People don't want lies. They think if they...
When Upworthy hurt them, they stopped it.
Okay.
Well, no. So Upworthy still exists, and they still do the same
No,
thing that
but
they've
all
always
that
done.
linking to clickbait articles made people dislike Facebook. I remember it was like, ugh. And so they got rid of it.
Yeah, I think that what it comes
That's
down to...
not a political thing. They just got rid of it because you didn't like it.
Make Trump unprofitable again.
Also, I think
that what you want?
the problem with the evolution of moving it back to the most recent timeline feed is the fact that they censor that stuff and they limit that stuff because if you saw a raw feed of what everybody you were friends with posted or friends of friends posted on Facebook, it would look like the most insane waterfall timeline.
You would choose to follow fewer people.
You
would choose to follow fewer people.
I do that. I always look at most recent. It's on most recent right now.
I look at both. I look at the filtered and the unfiltered.
I wish I
They're
could make it.
still
I
filtering.
wish it would
They're still
remember that
filtering
setting.
Guys, let's stop talking about like small points and talk about the impacts of this. So my dad currently lives in Alabama, of all places, and he works down there. And so we talk on the phone more often than I think most people do. But he was telling me about voters down there that he hangs out with, and just people from the South. Very kind of standard people down there. And the things they actually believed were true about Clinton. He brought this up unbidden, by the way. I didn't bait him into this. And he was like, I was really confused at what they thought was true that they claimed they had read on the internet. And he said it's from Facebook, if I recall
But
correctly.
I want to point out that people voting in geographic proximity have similar opinions. Even if they never went online,
Yes.
you hear from your friends, you hear at the corner store,
Leo.
you hear from everybody. That's the story you hear, you buy it.
I respect that entirely, but
What do you want to do? Do you want to have some sort of magic headphones that balance the information?
No, you don't balance it politically. You have fact checkers, just like every news publication ever had.
We have fact checkers. Why should Facebook be doing that?
No, because Facebook needs to look. The things you see are based on criteria. One of those criteria should be: is it patently false or is it not patently false? If it's
Who's going to decide that? By the way,
fact checkers.
And also, technically,
is there
If
agreement among fact
there's a
checkers?
news story that says Donald Trump is Jack the Ripper,
no, there's
that is false.
There's some legitimately wrong stuff, but then there's a lot of stuff in the middle.
Everything ranks. This problem has been solved long ago. You can rank things as the fact checking sites do, of which there are more than 100, and most of them are really good. Something is either more or less true, it's factually true, or it's patently false. The patently false stuff should get at least a ding against it, as if nobody clicked on it.
What you see a big red thumbs down, or what do you?
So
what do you
what
do?
happens is actually users already can report false news. It actually exists already within the Facebook UI.
There's a good solution.
It already exists. It is about 3 layers deep. I'll tell you that.
So maybe
you have
if we
to go to I don't like this, and then you have to say it's false, and then why is it false, and then you have to say it's a false news story.
It's the same abuse process for everything else.
It exists, but if you're going to have a reporting system, you can do 2 things. 1, you can make it not so buried in the UI to make it easy for people to report, and 2, you can follow up with it. And if that's the case, you follow up, and just like when people do DCMA takedowns or when they do copyright takedowns, they can look at it and they can say, okay, well, what is this? Is it true or false? And then they can adjust the algorithm accordingly. That's kind of in a perfect world how the workflow should be. But at the same time, I think the difficulty is, and you said this before, which is truthiness exists. And there's always going to be a level of people who believe that certain things are true, certain things are false, and then certain people who also believe that Snopes is a liberal mind control organization.
Right. It isn't? Dang.
Well, my question is, why are we having the discussion now? Had we won the election, had the Democrats won the election, would we be having this discussion?
I would hope that we would still be having this discussion.
I think not. We didn't have this discussion before the election.
Well, who writes the script?
It seems to me as if this is kind of another one of those blame game things. Oh, well, we lost, so it's Facebook's fault.
Let's forget about the outcome of the election then. I'm on Twitter a lot. I'm on social media a lot.
Should Twitter do the same thing?
You could never get into I remember, I've been around for a long time arguing online about politics for several elections now.
Right.
And this is the first election where you couldn't have an argument about policy or politics. You'd start to have an argument, and what was coming back at you was like you were trying to disprove like weird thing. Like you never could get to a political argument.
How about we teach people to have more critical judgment and to understand what's true and not true and do their own fact checking? I feel like putting the responsibility on Facebook to do this is completely the wrong thing to do.
No one is saying that Facebook has the responsibility to educate the American electorate. But all we're saying is if they're going to make editorial choices, like the newsfeed and trending topics, they should accept the full responsibility of that choice or do nothing that is editorial.
Yes.
Our point is they can't have their cake and eat it too. That's all we're trying to say. I don't want Facebook to become the supreme arbiter of all things true because they'd be horrible at it. But right now what they're doing is bad.
Well, what Wikipedia does is you come across a page sometimes and it kind of tells you a lot of the information on this page is coming under suspicion or whatever. It gives you some doubt about it. That's
Wikipedia has
to do.
By the way, a fabulous system that seems to work quite well at aiming towards the truth. There are obviously many inaccuracies and falsehoods on Wikipedia, but it seems to self-correct very well. That's a non-profit site. It's almost the antithesis of Facebook.
It also has some of the longest standing information wars that exist. And it's by the power of the users.
As they should.
So if, for example, Facebook allowed the intake, an easier intake of false news reports, and they were able to use that as a guideline in order to create a better system for how they manage the algorithm, especially when it's related to news, then it's exactly like what they were doing before it, what they've always been doing, and it's also in line with their policy. The issue is Facebook doesn't want to appear political.
Yes, they can't afford that. But also take this one step further.
As they shouldn't. They shouldn't be partisan. They should just be a conduit. This is what bothers me. Is you're expecting them
let's talk about
to
Twitter
take
first.
a position.
Let's talk about
How
Twitter
about Twitter? Does Twitter a problem?
Well, here let's take one specific fact. The number of bots that were tweeting information about the election, right? They were 7-1, I believe it was, Trump information, pro-Trump information, for every one of Clinton information. So is by doing nothing, is Twitter being neutral, or is by getting rid of all the bots Twitter being neutral? What would neutrality look like for Twitter? Right now they're favoring one side because one side is doing more of this particular specific activity. See what I'm saying? Well, what is it?
Well, what should Twitter do?
Let's say
should Twitter kill bots?
No.
I mean,
there's a lot of really funny bots out there. We're going to make a joke of this for a second, but like, I can't talk about that bot on the show because it's family friendly. There are a bunch of humorous bots out there you can follow that are actually a lot of fun. In fact, my friend is making a Twitter bot of all my tweets to make a thing about me. It's kind of funny.
I would submit that Twitter's biggest contribution was giving us an unedited, unexpurgated feed to Donald Trump's mind. That was, however you feel about him, that was a huge, valuable thing that Twitter did.
I think Twitter's an incredibly
And by the way, he
important tool.
continues to use it.
You have a whole. Can I show him? Can I tell him what I saw on your tweet deck? He has a real Donald Trump column in his tweet deck.
Of course I do.
Just Trump tweets.
He's the president-elect.
I know, but
Don't you want to know what he says?
Not really.
He said the New York Times is declining in circulation.
And they clap back. You see that?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And even though they're on the rise. But.
Well, fine. And you use some brains, and so as a result, you look at this with discrimination. I wouldn't want an automated system doing that. I think that's my job.
He also misspelled speech this morning.
Well,
He also
do you want
misused
Twitter to
phenomena.
go sick? Do you want Twitter to say, there's a typo
No,
underline?
Leo, no one here is advocating that all of a sudden Twitter go through everyone's tweets one by one and tell them what they can and cannot say. All we're saying is if Facebook is going to be a media company, they need to act like a mature one.
Is Twitter a media company?
Twitter
yes.
Less so.
So do they have
in
the
this
same
sense than
responsibility as Facebook?
I would say less so in this sense than Facebook. But
See, this is the logical inconsistency what you guys are saying. Because if you say this about Facebook, you have to apply it to Twitter.
Yeah.
And
Both of them have branches of media, aspects of media that are involved directly on their platform. Twitter curates news.
Yeah.
You can go to the beautiful little news lightning bolt, and you can see exactly what's going on.
No,
and
well,
some of
I
those
agree
things-
on that. On the Moments page, I agree.
Moments.
Twitter has responsibility because they've decided, they've taken it upon themselves. So this goes back to actually an age-old conversation on the internet that comes down to the Telecommunications Act of 1996, actually of 1938.
There we go.
Are you a common carrier like the phone company? The phone company has no responsibility for the content of phone calls because it's a common carrier.
under Title II.
Under
Yes.
Title II. I would submit that social media is that, but I understand what you're saying is when they take on a larger role, there's this slippery slope. And in fact, I think that's why I would advocate they take on no role. They stay a common carrier. The minute they take on a role, then they have a higher responsibility.
That's the entire crux of it right there. So we
Then they're not a common carrier. They're, what's the opposite? A media company? What is?
Yeah.
Well, they're a hybrid tech media company, but they don't want to be called a media company because they have much lower revenue multiples than tech companies do. So if you call Facebook a media company, it's way
that
overvalued.
why they want to say we're not a
the
media
bean
company?
counters care about that sort of thing.
This also wonderfully dovetails into the fact that all of this, especially in relation to the way that tech companies are seen, especially the internet as a common carrier, could be radically affected within the next 4 years.
Are you talking about net neutrality?
Oh my gosh!
Oh my gosh.
Net neutrality.
Tom
oh.
Wheeler,
This is
save
all
me.
right, stop, because this is a second conversation we can't have, which is what a Trump administration will look like to tech.
Sorry.
My reluctance to get into that is it's an unknown. And we can say what he said in the campaign. I think he's already backpedaling on some things. In many cases, he said inconsistent things about a lot of things, H-1B visas. I'm not sure what his policy is because it's not written on his website, and his public statements have been inconsistent. I mean, the guy was a Democrat 3 years ago. We don't really know what is going to happen. Of course, one hopes that the most misogynistic, racist things that he said and encouraged were inappropriate rhetoric that he will abandon, but we don't know. And so what I'd like to do, and maybe that's wrong, but what I'd like to do is defer judgment until such time as he says what his policy is.
I think
on
that's
the FCC.
I think it's reasonable, but given the people that he's bringing into
All it
his
does is
transition,
it just gets people ginned up, over something that hasn't happened yet.
Okay, but can we frame it like this then? Given that Trump is now the head of the GOP, he's their actual leader.
Well, he's actually, I would argue with
Paul
that.
Ryan?
I don't know who the head of, I don't even know what the GOP is anymore.
The GOP was just made chief of staff.
The standard bearer
He's the president-elect.
He wins.
It's not a parliamentary system where the head of the party is now the prime minister.
The nominee of the party is generally regarded as the head of the party.
Yeah, and I think you're right, and I think this is a new era, and I don't know if we can say that.
All I'm trying to say is, if we can
I think
look
it's
at
very likely that mainstream Republicans will reject what he does in office.
That's a possibility, but I do think when it comes to policy things that have been on the books of GOP dictates for a long time, we can look to them as a preamble of what he may do.
No, I don't think you can. I don't think you know.
Kids, was that too far?
No, I think that's too far. I think it's a complete mystery. I can guarantee you the Republican establishment is going,
okay,
what's he gonna do?
Let me try one more time. There was a story that came out about 2 days ago reporting on the first meeting between technology and business leaders in the tech sector and the Trump transition team, and they discussed how they'll approach policy in the Trump administration. Is that close enough to be accurate to talk about?
Yeah, but because that's a discussion. I would like to see actual actions, and then believe me, I'll take to the streets. I don't have a problem with protesting actual actions.
Okay.
I have a little bit of a problem with protesting something that hasn't happened yet.
I think Ajit Pai is probably next in line to be chairman of the FCC.
That probably doesn't matter. We don't know. You wait till that happens, will you?
No, because I want to gear up now.
Easy for you to say.
Yeah,
you're
going to be on this.
You're going to be on this show when that happens. He might not.
I'm just saying you're giving
me?
yourself an ulcer over something that might happen.
Absolutely, and I will take an ulcer. I'll take it twice.
Allow me to step into the batting cage for a minute. Sorry, I'm gonna tag in here. And I think that this is something that we can discuss, which is, are you ready?
Yes.
Which is the idea.
No.
Stop it.
So Trump has gone on record to say that he opposes the FCC's open internet order. This is something that he said, but he dislikes it.
Okay, wait a minute. He said it in a tweet in which he said it, compared it to the equal, what was it, the FCC rule for equal media access.
Yes.
Fairness doctrine.
Yes, the fairness doctrine.
That was in a tweet 2 years ago. I don't know if he still thinks that, if that's what he's going to do. And I think debating Donald Trump's tweet is an exercise in futility.
Okay, what I was going to say is, however, he seems to also feel sympathetic towards net neutrality in the sense that his interpretation of the open internet order was actually a knock against anti-net neutrality.
I know.
Paragraph. Now
he's also said he wants to end the Time Warner acquisition by AT&T.
Yeah.
So what do we got? We don't know. Let's wait and see.
I'll bet you.
Well, I'll bet you, but it doesn't. You can't debate something he might do. You can't. There's nothing to debate.
Well, I mean, we can.
I think it would be a good thing if he stopped AT&T, Time Warner. I think it would be a bad thing if he he appointed somebody in the FCC who would overturn the net neutrality. Mm-hmm. We can say that, but we don't know. He hasn't done it yet.
Let's talk about what has happened. This is a complete shift, and I hope you don't mind about this. In 2008, 8 years ago, I wrote a column that flatly, I'd come to the conclusion that social media determines elections. At that time, President Obama was running for office, and I said, he's got more juice on social media, he's going to win, and he won. And then every major election since then, I've looked at the social media, number of followers, the amount of engagement, et cetera. And in 100% of the cases in major elections, whoever has the most juice on social media wins. And clearly,
this one wasn't even close.
Wasn't even close.
This one, Donald Trump is, for whatever else, a master of the media.
And so here's the question: does social media simply determine is success on social media how you get elected?
It can't. I think it's simplistic to say it's that thing or another thing. Mm-hmm. You can also say he was very good at getting mainstream media to cover him because he was so good for ratings, and they got billions of dollars in free television coverage. You could also say a lot of things.
Reality TV.
Yeah, I don't think we should oversimplify. And I'd see a lot of this. Well, it's all Comey's fault, or it's all Bernie's fault, or, and you know what? It's a lot of things, and I don't know if anybody will ever know what was the reason. It could well be that Hillary Clinton was just not likable enough. It could well be that, well, we've had 8 years of a Democrat, it's time for a Republican, which, by the way, happens with regularity. Yeah, I don't know what it is.
But we can agree that CNN shouldn't have played so many Trump rallies in prime time unencumbered by commercials.
Certainly helped.
Him.
certainly helped, and it helped them, by the way. And Les Moonves, chairman of CBS.
No, but Zucker said that that they should have done that. So Zucker's only moment of contrition following the election was that, and I think that's kind of a telling lack of self-awareness.
Les Moonves, chairman of CBS, says it may not be good for America, but it's damn good for CBS.
I should buy some stock. Can I sell my citizenship for stock?
Not in CBS, please.
Anyway, we're in a different media environment, and it was this Tiffany network, right? Edward R. Murrow's Tiffany network. You could trust CBS when Walter Cronkite said, we're going to lose Vietnam. That was it. Johnson knew that he was no longer be able to take us to Vietnam, continue in Vietnam. The New York Times used to be the paper of record.
Still is.
So, by the way, there's on both sides some unhappiness with the New York Times.
Oh, sure.
Yeah. That doesn't change the fact that they're still the best.
You know who I think is rapidly taking the mantle in the New York Times is Jeff Bezos over at the Washington Post.
Yes, he's.
I think it's very
butter,
interesting.
Yeah.
Here's we talked about this on Wednesday. This is the new model for journalism. Journalism, you can't pay for itself.
Right.
So what you need is patronage.
Sugar daddy.
Patronage. Call up your local feudal lord, kids.
That's what I said. I said it's like the Medicis, right?
Right.
Instead of the Sistine ceiling, we got the Washington Post.
I'll take the Post over the ceiling.
I'll take the ceiling over the Post.
Well, I'm a Post subscriber now. I give them money.
Subscribe.
Yeah, they're fantastic.
I'm giving them $10 a month.
I read so much Post. It's kind of incredible to me. More so than Time.
So they're still at a deficit, though, right? I mean, Bezos is losing. Jeff Bezos, we should explain, of course, the founder and chairman of Amazon, bought the Washington Post for not much, a pittance, a couple $100 million.
250.
And has been, I think, running at a deficit ever since, but bought him a nice new headquarters, a new digital strategy, and has doubled down on things like coverage of the election.
He wants to reinvent how newspapers operate.
With an aim to making money or just not to lose so
Trump
much?
says that he's using the Post to save money on Amazon's taxes.
Oh, and by the way, that's another thing
Trump
that Donald
tweet.
Trump said, which is that he is going to do an antitrust investigation into Amazon, and one thinks, oh, now this is now Jeff Bezos, according to Recode, extending an olive branch to Donald Trump. Meanwhile, the stock market thinks Amazon's in trouble because the new president.
There was also an Easter egg in that.
Related question.
He said, "I for one." Essentially, he said, "I for one welcome our new insect overlords."
Did he say that? Really?
He didn't say the insect overlords part, but he started with "I for one."
Oh, okay. That's a dog whistle.
Yeah. Yes.
Holy cow.
Yeah.
So
one of the interesting things that, and I keep harping on this, and I don't think we've realized the impact of this yet, but Donald Trump as president is going to have a massive reach and going to be able to totally bypass the media. Here's what he's got. So because of a bunch of machinations, you can read up on how this came about. He got the personal use in perpetuity of the entire GOP mailing list for email. And I presumably addresses as well. He built his own, which the GOP does not have access to, that is like the Donald Trump fan club or whatever. He built his own Twitter following of the real Donald Trump, which is at, 14 million, something like that. So it's a lot of people. And he inherits POTUS.
Yeah, what I'm interested to see what he does is I imagine...
Yeah, his reach is massive.
14.9. What I imagine...
Right, exactly.
Look, if he says it in a GOP debate, I can bring it up.
The great new meme, though, is Joe Biden. Have you seen the Joe Biden meme?
I've seen these. These are incredible.
Joe Biden telling Obama, and there's a picture of Obama with his face palming. Joe Biden telling Obama, "Yeah, I put little tiny toiletries in the men's room just for his tiny hands."
And Obama's like, "Joe, why'd you do that?" He goes, "He's got tiny hands. I want him to feel at home." If you haven't seen the Biden meme, look it up. It's fun.
It's fun. I'll show a couple of them. I am hoping that I'd be interested to see how Trump continues to use Twitter. Yeah. It makes sense that he would use the @POTUS. Right now, he's got a bifurcated Twitter feed. The iPhone postings, it seems to be, are from the campaign, now from the transition team. And the Android postings, as Trump says, he used an iPhone until he got mad at Apple because of San Bernardino. Now he uses a Galaxy phone. The Android postings are usually the most unhinged late-night postings, seem to be from the real Donald Trump. Maybe he lets the transition team and the government take over @POTUS. And I love the idea that we're seeing an unexpurgated view of the president. Isn't that direct drive? I mean, that's pretty exciting.
Well, then we'd have to say that Twitter, let's make a huge callback. We're going to have to say that Twitter is going to be a media company then, because that kind of access to the president based on his president-elect, based on his initial decisions, that's probably going to be as close to a press corps as we will get.
Well, he's already ditching the normal press pool,
yes,
and so forth, which is a horrible precedent.
He did that once. It was an oversight. We don't know.
But
we don't know what his policy is going to be.
Leo, did you leave your cynical bones at home today? Because this is like the weird,
I'm willing to be
cuddly,
cynical. No, I am
version of
cynical.
you.
I'm as cynical as the next guy. But I think that for all of our sanity and for the future of the country going forward, and I know this is controversial, but it wouldn't be a bad idea to wait and see what he does, because I do think that basing your opinion of somebody on his contradictory and frankly bizarre Twitter feed is not going to make any sense at all.
I agree with that entirely. I'm looking more at the policies that the people around him that he's hiring to run his administration have discussed in the past.
So far, the people he's hired have not impressed me.
Bannon doesn't impress you?
Not Bannon.
If Bannon won't impress you,
this
what
new
will?
EPA transition guy is not.
The climate change skeptic.
But so there are things to talk about that are real moves. Yeah.
But I do think, though, that in the tech world, it's net neutrality, the carried interest loophole on venture capital, that sort of thing, spectrum options.
Well, here's an example. H-1B visas. On the one hand, obviously he's anti-immigration. Silicon Valley wants more H-1B workers because they say they can't find enough skilled workers. On the other hand, we've seen companies use third parties like Wipro in India to hire unskilled workers at a very low rate. Disney did this, appallingly hired hundreds of unskilled workers, brought them in, or moderately skilled workers, brought them in, had Disney's own IT guys train them, and then fired the Disney employees and kept the invited employees. That's a misuse of H-1B, and I do think that Trump has condemned that. He's also suggested that the H-1B minimum wage be raised so it's not a cheaper way to get staff, talent.
Yeah.
But at the same time, he's also got a pro-business stance. I think this is unknown.
Well, here's one perspective that I haven't heard expressed, and I think it's a valuable one. The current the way the U.S. currently enforces and legislates immigration is people at the bottom of the economic ladder are unprotected by immigrants. So people come flooding in by the millions to take lower skill, lower wage jobs, and lower skill, lower wage Americans have to compete with those immigrants for those jobs. Whereas in the white collar world, there's this like ridiculously small cap, right? The H-1B visa program.
It's thousands.
The lawyers and the professionals and the college grads are protecting themselves from having to compete with immigrants.
Well, and this is the other thing Trump has said is if people, I don't like seeing people come to our country, go to Harvard and Princeton, get this great training and leave. I want to keep them in the country.
Which makes perfect sense.
Via the H-1B visa program.
I think the phrase was
I
staple
don't
the green
understand
card.
what his policy is, right? That's all I'm saying. And that's why in some respect I think it's a good idea to wait and see what he does.
Yeah.
Because he has got Apple, on the one hand, he tells Apple, from now on, if the FBI asks you to unencrypt, you're going to unencrypt. And by the way, time to start making all your stuff here in the United States. On the other hand, he says, but we're going to let you take all those billions of dollars you have in Ireland. We're going to let you repatriate that at a mere 10% tax rate, and we're going to cut the corporate tax rate. So if you're Tim Cook, do you go, I mean, what do you do?
Remember when he called for a boycott of Apple during one of his rallies? I'd forgotten about that. Oh my gosh.
And he himself changed from an iPhone to a Samsung Galaxy 7.
I wonder if he's kept that up after all the firmware.
It's basically Schrodinger's political policy, right? We're not going to know until we open the box and figure it out.
In this case, though, the cat's dead in both cases.
But at the same time, like if you say two things and they're conflicting, can both of them be true?
That's my point.
Or the rule of Trump,
pick
the one that's worse and go with that one.
It is also possible that we'll see that continue for the next 4 years, in which case it will be bloody chaos.
It's like a 20-sided dice from D&D, policy.
Yeah. I think this is we have never seen a situation where we know so little about what's going to happen on January 20th.
That's why I have told my fellow Utes out there, in particular, that this is now an opportunity to donate and volunteer for causes that are important to you.
That's the best you can do, is if you have an opinion, continue to stand behind it and stand behind the organizations that represent your point of view. And frankly, if you're a Trump supporter, and there are certain things that you thought were good about Trump's platform, you might want to do the same thing, because I don't think there's a guarantee at all that he's going to do any of the things he said he wanted to do.
I think that's a reasonable, it's not only a reasonable
it's the only
thing
way.
to assume, but it's
Every
also
year.
in support of your position that we should wait and see, because I don't think Trump feels bound by anything he said. I don't think his supporters
by the way,
even
that's
expect
clear.
him.
When you have Giuliani said, yeah, we're not going to build the wall.
Yeah,
that'd
be ridiculous.
That's clear. Yeah, he says that was campaign rhetoric. That's clear that everything's on the table.
Yeah.
All right.
So I just don't. But so to get back to our conversation, social media clearly important. Here's the problem. This is a conversation we have over and over again about everything. Tech changes everything.
Yes.
And we're in a brave new world. What is Facebook? Is it media? Is it a common carrier? No, it's both. And what are the rules? What should the rules be? And how should Facebook carry itself? And I don't think there's an easy, obvious answer. In fact, I'm arguing, by the way, as I always do, the devil's advocate, because I think it's important that somebody stand up for Facebook's position that, well, that's not our job. You're supposed to vet what you read on the internet, because critical thinking.
Yeah, but that's like magic pixie dust.
No, I think it's actually, frankly, insulting when somebody says, well, Facebook needs to tell people what's not true. It's saying people are too stupid to figure it out for themselves, so it's up to Facebook to say yes or no. Look at everybody who has email gets fallacious, bogus, stupid, wrong stuff in their email. It's your job as a human being to not send $1 million to a Nigerian prince.
And Google filters that stuff out and puts it in the spam folder.
It's called spam.
Belongs. Right. Exactly.
Spam
It's spam because it's false.
So you're advocating for Facebook to build a spam filter for fake news.
One thing here's a fact that changes the whole feeling about what Facebook is all about. They're the most influential news organization in the history of mankind, by far. So
that does change everything.
In
if
the
you
past,
say that changes everything.
In the past, even moderately influential news organizations had a sense of responsibility. In order to use the airwaves on TV, you have to have some responsible news. Newspapers have always had a sense of responsibility. Now we have this guy who's making billions and billions and billions, or billions, as Trump says, per quarter on being massively influential and possibly even determining the outcome of elections. And they're like, hey, we're just the pipes through which
they
all
shouldn't
this
be
flows.
disingenuous. And in fact, Facebook executives apparently have been saying the same thing, that we need to step up. It's Zuck himself who's saying, hey, you could be crazy to think that is not the right tack.
Yeah.
The right tack is to say, and this is a difficult problem, and I don't know how to solve it.
I would take that. If they said, look, we hear you, we see it, it's hard, we're working on it, I'd be totally fine.
They did say that, actually.
Oh,
yeah.
Wait, Zuck did?
He did.
Well, there
I
you
think-
go.
I
He
missed
said
one of his comments?
Yes. He said both
Understood.
things. He said it's crazy to think that we determined, but we're working on it. We know it's a huge problem. It's a very difficult problem, and we're working on it. We're trying to reduce the amount of falsehoods on Facebook. But I think there's simply two things they need to do. Number one, they need to look at the algorithm and they need to de-viralify things that are obviously false. I think that would be a nice step. Don't delete them. Don't ban them like you ban other innocuous things like women's breasts and stuff like that when they're breastfeeding. But don't let them go so viral. Take a couple of points off or something like that.
Deprioritize them.
Right, exactly. And I think the other thing they need to do is they need to work on this filter bubble problem. I mean, there has to be some responsibility, because filter bubble is self-reinforcing. The more inside the bubble you are, the more the stuff you see makes you more inside the bubble.
I think forced busing is the solution to the filter bubble. Get people out of Alabama into South Dakota, and that would solve the problem.
Wait, you're going from Alabama to South Dakota?
I'm just
We're
joking.
going from Minneapolis to Tulsa. It's going to be freaking amazing.
But we're all in a filter bubble by virtue of our geography.
Look what used to
we live in Northern California. Do you think I heard any pro-Trump rhetoric?
But look what used to happen. Let's compare Facebook to television. In the old days, when TV used to go over the airwaves, the idea was that the American people own the American airwaves, and therefore, we know you'd like to just do nothing but have frivolous entertainment news channel, ABC, NBC, CBS.
I do miss those days.
But you have a responsibility because we're letting you use our airwaves, and therefore you have to have some responsible news. Well, let me finish this one point, though. Yeah. And so Facebook comes along and says, well, we're going to replace the TV stations, and we're going to send all this stuff, but we're not going to take any of that responsibility stuff. We don't want anything that's going to stop us from making massively billions of profits. What they need to do is inject the other side into the filter bubble, even if people don't like it, even if it makes people spend less time online.
I think that's up to people. I followed all 17 GOP candidates. I followed all 4 Democratic candidates. I followed all the independent candidates on Facebook so that I would get all that content. And I think that that's up to people who use Facebook to do that. And I don't think it's Facebook's responsibility or anybody else's responsibility. And I'll show you how we can highlight this issue. So what if we had a public television station, a public radio station, and a public website that was legally bound to be non-biased, non-partisan, factual, and we offered this channel to the American people and said, look, here's the information you need to do this correctly. What if we did that?
It's called the News Hour.
Yeah.
No, actually, it's you find a lot of people who would disagree with that. You're talking about the PBS NewsHour. You find a lot of people who disagree with that.
People are going to disagree with facts.
But that's why this is the problem, is who's going to decide, who's going to run that? Not the government.
Ooh, vote for me. I'll do it. Just kidding.
Who's going to run that? And immediately, if you name anybody, you introduce bias.
Well, yes, we're a collection of human beings with individual thoughts. We agree with each other and we disagree with each other.
How
so
dare
nothing's
you?
ever going to be
You're asking
free from
to
bias.
fix people.
No, we're asking them to act like a more mature media company. I'm not asking them to grow wings and fly away.
If they are going to become the public square, then they have to have some responsibility to the public. I mean, look at Apple. Apple, it doesn't even let you have. They changed the gun emoji into a squirt gun emoji.
I know,
right? I mean,
which by the way was a terrible idea.
It was a terrible idea.
A lot of people are against.
But they, all these companies, including Facebook, do a lot of censorship. Look at all the censorship Facebook does for stupid reasons, and we accept it. How about a little censorship for good reasons?
I think it's intractable. I don't know how you propose Facebook solve this.
Well, first you start with the public
I
editor.
guarantee you, no matter what they do, somebody's going to say, "Oh my God, that's biased," and you're screwing it up.
Yeah,
but if you're biased in favor of fact instead of blatant falsehoods, then I think that's a good bias. Why be neutral between the fire brigade and the fire?
Problem is the definition of fact.
Facebook's gap net income.
I think there's for instance, climate change.
Yeah.
Some people say that's a fact. Some people say evolution is a fact. Would you say that's factual? Or should Facebook kill a creationist post or a anti-climate change post? Who says that's factual or not factual?
I think deciding between manufactured fake news and real news versus that
some stuff is obvious. So you're
different.
saying there's some stuff we should do like a spam filter does, which is just delete the really obvious turds.
Yeah.
I think baseline, the excuse "we are just a platform" probably needs to go away, because saying, "Oh, we're just a platform, we're just a place for people to go."
I agree.
We are a place, we're not a thing. No, you're a thing. You exist and you make decisions, and you make decisions about what people see and about what people hear and about what people watch. So knowing that's the case, right? We need these. I mean, everybody. And I'm not just talking about Facebook. I'm not just talking about social media sites. You can argue now that Netflix has a vested interest in what they do, as they're not just a platform anymore. They create their own content. Right. You have these companies that are now pushing forward their own interests, whether that's their own content, or controlling their own media.
What if I say
they're not just a platform anymore?
We didn't really land on the moon. That's a conspiracy. Mm-hmm. Should that be blocked on Facebook? What if I say 911 was an inside job of the federal government? Should that be blocked on Facebook?
Not blocked.
If Facebook, and this is just the way that I feel about it, if Facebook is going to make a decision about how it treats the way that certain news is structured, the way that certain pictures are done, if they already have rules in place, they either need to follow.
Well, you see the problem with this, with the napalm picture.
Yes, which they tried to remove.
They did remove it because it was a naked 12-year-old.
And people have a right to be upset with it, but at the end of the day, also, Facebook is allowed as a business to
They are allowed.
And then they are also allowed to bring it back and say,
I think what they try to do is avoid as many rules as possible, because the more rules, this is just an intractable problem.
I agree.
The best thing to do would be to start educating people that everything you read on the internet is not true, and start using your freaking brain.
But
the problem is they believe it because they want to believe it, and there's nothing you can do about it.
But there's a lot. I mean, so Facebook is a creative company with a lot of really smart people. They moved from just thumbs up to, oh, you can express how you feel about it. News stories can be labeled as such. The things like evolution, which is, you can label it as, this is a point of contention between whatever.
By the way, that would be very
scientists
controversial.
and magicians.
There was
you see? That would be very controversial with some people.
But you just label it as, it's a fact.
If you take away rationality in science as basis for a fact, then all of a sudden I'm a pony.
See, this is why you can't solve it.
So,
no, but we are not
there's a
saying
story,
that that's how
here's
we're
another
solve it.
example. There's
It's
a
the
story
wrong
that
issue.
circulated on Facebook that after Trump's election, a circular cloud appeared over Jerusalem and you could hear trumpets. That circulated and hundreds of thousands of people shared that story because they thought he was ushering in biblical prophecy. It didn't happen. It absolutely did not happen. It's false.
So Facebook
should ding it a couple of points in its viral algorithm. It absolutely should do that.
No, I don't think so. I think a lot of people want to read that story and are going to celebrate that story.
Makes people dumber.
Then what they should
Weren't
do
you
is,
brought up in a fundamentalist?
not fundamentalist, but quite conservative, yeah. But I had to break my way out of it myself.
But well, that's the point.
No, but just ask a
That's
question.
the point.
Ask a question.
There are people believe what they want to believe, and so the best thing you can do is educate people. Try to give them other information. It's a mechanical system like Facebook saying it's going to end up being useless because it's going to say, well, evolution's a theory. Most people agree, but some people don't. You're not going to get any because there are very few things that are facts, and most of the things in the realm we're talking about of politics are opinion. Now,
viewpoints.
admittedly, I don't think there was a circular cloud over Jerusalem, but if somebody wants to believe that and repost it to their friends, maybe that's an inspirational post. How do you know that that's not an aspirational, inspirational
Just to adjust this back down to the nub. If
Nobody likes
Facebook is going
trumpets.
to make media and editorial decisions, they have responsibilities as a media company. If they want to have the news feed filtered via their algorithm,
Well,
they want to
here's the
trending topics,
problem. Our definitions are antiquated. We have this
That's
binary
really fair.
definition of media company versus common carrier.
Right.
And that's antiquated.
Right. We're trying to say, is Facebook a Victrola or is it a Telegram?
Right.
It's like,
Right.
it's Facebook.
It's antiquated.
It's like a new thing.
It's its thing.
do we need a term for a hybrid player that wants to not take on most responsibility of the media company? Like a platform plus?
That sounds awful. I
made it up on the spot, El Hawk. Chill.
It's a super platform.
Super.
I can come up with a million examples that would be incredibly challenging to Facebook once it put itself in this position of arbiter. Let's talk about homeopathic medicine. Many people believe in homeopathy. I don't happen to. I think it's scientifically bizarre.
Bizarre is polite.
Is Facebook supposed to block and ban all homeopathy posts?
It's also an opinion, right? And at the same time, for example, if you put the tools in the hands of your users and then you are able to intake that data to understand and also grade that, like I said, you already can report false news.
Faith-based religious post.
Your examples don't apply.
have that?
But your examples don't apply.
I'm not at
Your
all
examples
advocating for
are off because we're talking about news. And if somebody says, "Oh, this homeopathic cure cured leprosy worldwide," okay, that's not a question about whether homeopathy is something you can believe or not. That's a specific claim, and news articles tend to contain specific claims, and so. It's not about whether evolution
is true or not. It's possible to write an algorithm that says, because it's got to be algorithmic. There's too many posts on Facebook not to. It's possible to create an algorithm that says, okay, that is an assertion of fact that's demonstrably true or not true. We're going to check that. I don't know how they do that, but we're going to check that. And then we're going to put a little green check if it's demonstrably true and a red X if it's not. That's the kind of thing you're advocating?
My dream is, if you can imagine, imagine a NASA-like control room with big screens and have all these nerds sitting behind terminals, right? And when something starts going viral, they check it. Just wait till it's, they can judge.
I don't even think it needs that.
Well,
I think
they had a full-time editorial staff. Sorry, Lauren.
Yeah.
I don't even think it needs that because,
They
again,
fired
if you're able to put it in your newsfeed, if you feel like there should be due diligence reporting from your users, for example, if a news story comes up onto my Facebook feed that says DNA from Zodiac killer victim found to be Ted Cruz's, I would be like, okay, Ted Cruz is not the Zodiac killer.
But is he not?
If I want to
this
post,
is fake news, and then they get it, and it says, "Oh, look it, there's a report on fake news. Wow, Ted Cruz, not the Zodiac killer. Pretty sure about that."
I want to post a post has a picture of Jesus on a piece of toast and say I had a worst headache, and then I ate this toast and I feel better. fake news?
No, that's true. If that happened to you, that's true. That's true. If
Well,
you
it's
felt
what
like
I say happened. I don't know. Maybe it didn't happen. Maybe I didn't have a peach.
I think that's fine.
Maybe I photoshopped a piece of toast with Jesus.
I think it wouldn't be that hard to take news content.
Where do you draw the line? I'm just saying. This is a Facebook. This is where I share stuff I like. Not even stuff that's true. I just like the idea of a piece of toast curing my headache. So I post it. Isn't that what Facebook's for?
Leo, hard doesn't mean not worthwhile.
I'm not saying it's hard. I'm saying it's impossible.
I'm saying it's hard. Maybe that's our real difference right there.
I'm saying the minute you do that,
they already have. It's the algorithm, the news feed,
well,
and
they're
trending
trying
topics.
to do it in a benign fashion. Just give you more stuff you're interested in.
But I mean, it's not benign.
In your defense, though, Leo, in the world of fact-checking, which is a fascinating world, the best fact-checking publication in the world, I think, is The New Yorker. Their fact-checkers are legendary, but they have an advantage.
It's a liberal rag,
they
but
have
they do very good.
They have an advantage, though. They can't go in. They go line by line, every single claim, and they say, is this true? And if it isn't true, they don't throw out the article, which is what Facebook would have to do.
The writer.
They would say it, and they would tweak it so that they don't actually make a patently false claim. Facebook can't edit.
I've asked a couple of recent New Yorker writers. They don't do that so much anymore.
Oh, they don't. Why don't you just kill me?
I know.
Leo?
They used to. It really was the bastion.
Can we
of
believe in
fact-checking.
nothing anymore?
Yeah.
Is nothing sacred?
Yeah, I think they've let many of the fact checker goes.
Is that a fact?
Go.
Is that true?
I may be wrong, but you should check that.
You should check that fact. Exactly.
I may have made that up. I don't remember.
We're really sorry for today's twit, everyone.
I seem to remember that. Well, that's another problem. I think it's a fact because I remember that conversation, but I couldn't. Don't quote me on it. Isn't life full of that?
Yes, it
we
is.
have this notion that, oh, no. It's very black and white. The problem is what I believe and what you believe. If it's different, we may think different facts.
And we
are
haven't
true.
even mentioned the S word, satire.
And then there's satire.
Oh, man. Borowitz report?
Borowitz report is not satire.
So Borat's report gets re-Facebooked or whatever you call it all the time.
Right.
And I would guarantee you that half the people who read it think it's true.
Yeah, I mean, he's still looking for a joke.
It's a humor column.
Yeah.
You don't like him?
That was actually probably the best burn of the entire show so far. So 5
You do
points to
not
Lauren.
like Andy Borowitz?
No one does.
He's hysterical.
No, it's horrible.
Well, it's not meant
I
to
would
be.
agree on
Nobody
is
under
this like
40
how
is
your
supposed to read the
generation
New
thinks
Yorker.
Marmaduke is funny?
Absolutely.
Oh. We're going to make our own twit with young
Where do
people
you
and good
stand
jokes.
on the family circus question? We're going to take a break on that note. You don't think Andy Borowitz is funny?
That's like, oh, my Leo.
It's the opposite of funny.
Marmaduke's kind of funny.
Oh, man.
Do you read Annie Cap? Our show today.
Brought to you by.
You know what? That was when I knew I was old. Was when I started reading the comics page in the newspaper and didn't get a single laugh out of it.
Yeah.
Wow.
Right? Do they still have comics pages in your newspapers?
Yes.
Do you still have a newspaper?
Only when I go home to see my parents.
Yeah, that's what I thought. Does it? I mean, the Times doesn't have a comic page. Does Chronicle have a comic page?
I have no idea.
I don't know either.
On Sundays.
On Sundays. All right. They're saying that you and I are those old guys.
That's right.
Statler and Waldorf from the Muppets.
If you think Marmaduke is funny, I don't know.
I really don't remember whether Marmaduke is
show
funny
today.
or not.
Well,
That's
then
the
how
beauty
you
of it.
know.
That's
'Cause
the beauty of it. You don't
I can remember when things are funny.
I don't
If they're
remember.
not funny.
I do. There was a dog, and a big
It was
dog,
huge.
and it was situations were funny.
Yeah.
Funny things would happen.
Big dogs are usually funny.
Yeah. Our show.
It was a great show.
Our show today brought to you by GoToMeeting. Why don't you take a break, everybody? Just cool off, relax a little bit. We'll talk about emojis.
I'm chill.
What do you think of the beard?
I like it.
We're brought to you today by GoToMeeting. Why just phone conference when you can high-tech it? Better meetings start with GoToMeeting. HD video means you're going to see the people you're talking to. We don't. A lot of times we're going to have a meeting. It's just a phone call, right? It's a conference call. And we use GoToMeeting as our conference bridge because, yeah, you can have the phone call. And by the way, you could do it over Wi-Fi on your iPad. I mean, it's more than just phones. It could be regular phones too. But then, like you're in the conversation, you say, hey, I think I should show you this graph I have here. And you just instant screen sharing. You know, I'd like to see your face. You sound like a pretty nice guy. Now HD video. It can take that conference call, make it something engaging, something special. And you know what? Your client is going to love you because it's so easy. You send them an email invitation. They click a link. 30 seconds later, even if they've never used this software before, suddenly You're on the same page. You're hearing each other, seeing each other, sharing the page together. Crystal clear HD video. Everybody stays on point, focused, and on task. It changes the word They shouldn't use the word meeting because it's so much more than a meeting. 9 out of 10 go-to-meeting users agree they close deals more than 20% faster because it's like being in face-to-face, frankly. Don't phone it in. Go to meeting. Start your free 30-day trial today. Go to meeting.com. Click on the button that says try it free. Go to meeting. We thank them for their support of This Week in Tech. You know, I blame Twitter for the whole damn thing.
Yeah, that's a good idea.
I do. Twitter has coarsened our national discourse.
That strikes me as incorrect.
What?
Because think about 50, 60 years ago, people were just openly racist walking around the streets. Now
they're openly racist to the world.
Yeah, but much less so and more targeted. It's different. I mean, those people are even pilloried on Twitter themselves. I mean, I've gotten in fights with the alt-right too.
Oh, well, that should fix everything.
No, it doesn't. I try to avoid them. They're quite stupid.
I'm just saying. It's a megaphone for every bit of garbage.
Oh, my point is it's less people being as nasty. I do agree to amplify. I think
that's the
our
problem.
site has improved a little bit since then.
And Twitter's always said, well, amplifies the good as well. I feel like the bad has outweighed the good at this point. I mean, how many times can you point to the Arab Spring and Hurricane Katrina?
So hashtag never tweet. You heard it here first.
Oh, I stopped tweeting. You know what I did? I did a passive aggressive thing. I put a bot on my Twitter feed.
Oh my gosh.
Good thinking, Leo.
It's totally passive aggressive. Yeah. It's like it tweets 5 times a day, but it tweets, Leo's started a show. Leo's published a show.
You should.
It's worse. It's a third person bot.
Exactly. That's where Hillary Clinton went wrong.
Yeah,
she had a lot of third party tweets, right? And whereas Trump is like,
maybe I'll rewrite the bot to say, hi, friend, I've just published a show.
-LL.
-LL?
Yeah,
good thinking.
Yeah, that would know it's from you.
It.
Yeah.
Yep, not like your handle already says.
Connect with your fan base.
No, but it's not like my people posting.
My dad still signs texts dad. Like, I don't know it's him.
I got a text today from a friend who's like 55, and he signed it with his name, too.
I got to change my settings here in Textra because I have it signed.
Yeah, signatures on text.
You know why I do that? I have a reason your dad doesn't have. I use so many different phones. Nobody knows you've even said that. Who's this? So now I sign everything so people know who it is. Right?
Yeah.
No matter who it is,
that's
he
actually
says
pretty
dad.
fair.
What is the thing you
If
kids...
you text me at 4 o'clock in the morning again, I'm going to get very confused.
What is it the thing you kids say when you get a text from somebody that acts like they know you, but you don't recognize the phone?
New phone, who dis? You say new phone, who dis?
See? No. See? I knew that, by the way, because I get that all the time. New phone, who dis?
You get new phone, who
Shouldn't you have a
dis?
children's table for the show?
Yeah, I think we're at it. You're just the one.
Yeah. Just take all of our microphones and put them on like a little Fisher-Price picnic bench.
I have to give Twitter credit, though, for catchphrase generation.
Oh, it's amazing.
It's the best.
It's amazing.
It's the best. New phone, who dis?
I love Twitter.
I love Twitter, too. And I
hate Twitter.
But you wouldn't... Under an Elgan administration, you would love Twitter because basically I think they should have pseudonymity. So you have to be a real person to Twitter, but then you can have a fake handle and they know it's you, but you can't. The problem with Twitter is you can just crank out these new accounts every 5 seconds, right? And they shut them down eventually, maybe, and then you can just create 10 more. I don't know how many people I argued with where I'm arguing with them about the election, and then I look at and they're like they have 0 followers.
Why does
they have
anybody get in an
They're
argument
eggs.
on Twitter? Are
they
insane?
eggs? Are they eggs or an anime avatar?
You can't win an argument on Twitter. Actually, I do it.
It still hurts. I mean, people still say
hurts.
no. I mean, I still have a small fraction of my soul left, and people will come after me and say really just nasty, mean things that are factually false that I can disprove.
So
and so I fall in the hole
how's
and
that
say
worked for
that's
you?
wrong, and then they change tack and make something else up.
Exactly.
85 tweets later, I'm like, I'm not a beta male, guys. Come on.
Yeah.
How's that working for you? Arguing with
Next
people.
thing you know, you got a beard like Leo. You're sitting there all hours of the night.
I know, and so my point is, even though I know better, I still fall down those traps.
Yeah, me
but
too,
I
me too.
think, and Beatmaster said it on chat a second ago, that trolls are probably the minority of Twitter users.
Oh, yeah.
Doesn't
It's not
matter.
90.
They're the
But they have the
majority,
majority
but they're
of
the
the
loudest.
accounts.
Yeah.
I agree, but I'm saying that we could all do better on our own end as well. We talked about responsibility here. Right. I could not engage more, but my ego is too fragile to let me not.
In the great words of Katie Natopoulos, it's like wrestling with a pig. You get dirty and the pig enjoys it.
That was actually not Katie. That's kind of like one of the older quotes in like History of Mankind.
That's got to be Mark Twain, right?
Don't put lipstick on a pig.
Because then it'll kiss you?
What is it? It's like putting lipstick on a pig. No, it's like teaching a pig to sing.
It has something to do with a pig.
Can we stop with porcine analogies?
That must have been a family circus joke.
Little
I Googled it.
One circle of not funny.
Never, and I think it is George Bernard Shaw. I think no, that can't be.
No, it's Katie Knopoulos
Never
from
try.
Las
Never
Katie
try.
Knopoulos.
Wait a minute. Never try to teach a pig to sing. It wastes your time and it annoys the pig.
That's a similar quote.
Yeah.
The pig wrestling one implies the pig actually has fun.
Yeah, and
Yeah.
Which
is true. I
But
think
they're all
that's
right.
really
Yeah.
actually, oh wait, Katie gets credit because George Bernard Shaw said, "I learned long ago never to wrestle with a pig. You get dirty, and besides, the pig likes it."
She said it. Yeah.
George Bernard Shaw.
Also known as from BuzzFeed.
Yeah, well, it was. She quoted it in a piece about
was
the time
quoting
that she
PBS.
was in a Twitter fight with the lead singer from Blues Traveler.
Oh, that was an amazing
That's
tweet.
That's
Random.
an amazing.
That's
if you have
random.
not looked that
Oh
up,
no, it's actually quite.
it's very good.
What were they fighting over? A harmonica?
No, I believe that
Barta.
I can't remember what it was, but I believe that she said John Popper from Blues Traveler was fat and sad, and it was
he's a hell of a
it
singer.
was an amazing Twitter fight that actually ended up in his book, where he gave her like a backhanded, like some rude journalist sort of made this, and
But
she was like, I was making
This is
a
my
joke.
point exactly, is that this woman was able to post something on a site that John Popper saw and hurt his feelings.
Got into a Blues Traveler book, I know.
I mean, that's just wrong. So Farhad Manjoo today announced he's breaking up with Twitter.
This is so sad.
This is his post today in the Sunday New York Times. And he says the same thing everybody says, which is Twitter's totally addictive, but it feels like an addiction. It's
Yep.
habit forming. He says
Yeah.
the thrill of Twitter this year was visceral and habit forming. It was a show that never stopped. The fireworks display you couldn't keep your eyes off, even as it grew dangerously bright and transfixing, then set the whole town on fire and invited floods and locusts and plagues too. And
Is that factually true, though?
No. Boom, X.
Yeah, check that out.
Last 24 hours, you've been on 82% of your phone battery usage was Twitter.
In the last 6 days.
Last 6
Wow.
days.
And that's low.
The next number two app, Spotify, coming in at 4%.
Yeah.
Now, is that because Twitter uses more battery or because you live on Twitter?
I wake up to Twitter. I go to bed to Twitter. I tweet when you're not talking. I read. I mean, Twitter is my constant news feed of everything in the world.
I actually recently boosted my productivity in writing massively by spending 5 hours
deleting
a day. 5 hours a day from noon to 5 p.m. No Twitter. I don't let myself
That's super
use Twitter.
smart. That's super smart.
And
Twitter,
just-
Steve Kovac, we know and love, Business Insider. Twitter is toxic. I can't stand it anymore. I started regularly deleting my tweets this summer and unfollowed everyone and started over. See, there's the problem. Started over.
But no-
he didn't leave. He just...
A lot
There's
of
a
our
better
friends have
way.
done-
There's
a lot
a
of our
better
friends have
way.
done this. Ryan
It's
Lawler
driving
did
me
that.
nuts and
Tim
it's
Herrera.
making me sad. It's driving me nuts and making me sad. I agree, Steve.
The secret is you have 2 Twitter accounts at least. I have 5. We've gone into this before.
You
and
wrote
other
a whole article
Yeah.
on this, and I started to set it up, and then I just threw up my hands.
But at least 2. Have one for incoming tweets and have another one for networking, following your friends and colleagues and that sort of thing. And it's very powerful.
I had 2 in college. I had my main account, then I had @AlexIsDrunk that I would use about 8 p.m. on. It was fantastic.
That's what Donald should do.
Yeah, I know,
Should
right?
have the late, because most of his Android tweets are late night.
He doesn't drink.
Well, then there's no
He should.
excuse.
He should start.
I actually have spent less time on Twitter, probably because I left the journalism game. Maybe that's why. But
Well,
I
that's
think
what Farhad says. It's the tech journalists, the media, the Silicon Valley types. That's
we're the
who's
pigeons
using
of
it.
Twitter. We're there like at all hours.
Yeah.
We're always there. I think the important thing that I've found, especially when it comes to stating opinions that might be controversial or disagreed by some, is that I say what I want and then I log off. I go take a walk. I enjoy my favorite beverage. Maybe I might play a video game. And then if somebody says something substantive to me that I believe is worth responding to, I'll amplify it and do so otherwise. But, like the usual go make a sandwich or whatever.
You're talking crazy,
walking.
Lauren.
I know.
That's just crazy.
I mean, I respect your work life or your Twitter life balance. I feel like I would miss out on something.
You know what I think is
would read
interesting
less if I did
is that I think most people would agree that if you stopped looking at Twitter and Facebook, your life would generally be better.
Yeah.
But we can't do it.
Right.
You may not agree.
No, I would disagree in a personal sense because I get to read across the spectrum politically around the world. I get to read economic news from Brazil. I get to hear about Russian banks, Chinese real estate. I mean, the things that I care about are constantly pulsing in different times of the day. So when I go to bed to Twitter, it's different Twitter than I get in the morning.
No, that's true.
The other thing to keep in mind is that Twitter is simply, your experience of Twitter is whoever you follow. And so I'm very particular about who I follow. I follow some brilliant people. There's some people on Twitter that make me laugh, that inform me of things. I have all the breaking news sites. And so I absolutely love it. But if you just follow people willy-nilly, if I actually followed my Mike Elgan account, forget it. That would be crazy. But but the secret account that I have that I actually follow is fantastic. If you want to, let's say, for example, as an extreme version, let's say the best Twitter account in the world would be who? P. Marca, maybe. So Andreessen, right?
Oh, Mark, yeah, sure.
Yeah, Mark Andreessen.
Who has, by the way, stopped tweeting.
He always gets in trouble, though. He tweets until he talks about India.
But there's a perfect example of he stopped tweeting.
Farhad Manjoo was great on Twitter, too. He's a great follow as well.
He stopped tweeting.
Yeah, well, anyway, imagine if
Don't encourage them, Leo. This is all I have left in life.
By the way, if you watch 60 Minutes tonight, President-elect Trump is going to be on it. And you know what he's going to say? I love Twitter. He actually talks about Twitter on 60 Minutes tonight.
Their stock is up.
Leslie Stahl says, are you going to be tweeting? And whatever you're upset about, just put out there when you're president. Trump said, it's a modern form of communication between Facebook and Twitter and I guess Instagram. I have 28 million people. 28 million people. So you're going to keep it up?
He does.
Asked Stahl. It's a great form of communication, Trump said. Now, do I say I'll give it up entirely and throw it out? That's a tremendous form. I'm picking it up now. I think I pick up yesterday 100,000 people. I'm not saying I love it. This is like what everybody says.
Hearing you read his actual words in order is painful.
I know. It's very hard to read because it's syntactically
I'm picking
tortured.
up now. I think I pick up yesterday 100,000 people. If I turn that in, I would get fired.
I know. I'm not saying I love it, but it does get the word out.
He loves it.
I think in theory, it's great that a president tweets. It's a fireside chat that never ends.
Right.
A dumpster fireside chat.
It's a direct.
For our whole nation is the dumpster.
You know
on
what?
fire.
Whatever. It's a direct channel into the person. And frankly, if it turns out a president is corrupt or stupid or venal or racist or bad, we'll know.
Yeah.
It's a lot easier than the imperial presidency where previous presidents have hidden behind their press secretary and we don't know what they think. Dick Nixon was sitting in the White House swearing at black people, swearing at hippies, saying horrific things. We know now because of the tapes, but you wouldn't have known it then because the New York Times doesn't say Dick Nixon hates black people.
They weren't there. I mean, so your point is access.
We now can see it in unmediated.
The downside is our enemies can also see it and be like, this guy's crazy. Quick, launch the nukes.
The difference is that Dick Nixon had a filter, whereas President Trump may not have such a filter.
Which is why I'm glad he uses Twitter, and I pray he does continue to use Twitter, and that his people do not take away his phone again. Because that was so boring for like 3 days.
Like America goes to war. He's like, America, we're going to war. It's going to be the greatest war ever.
Yes.
I saw an explosion.
But
it was
then
awesome.
you'll know. But then you'll know.
4th of July everywhere.
Then you'll know. You say, I saw people on the rooftops, Muslims on rooftops, weeping. Anyway, I'm sorry. I lost my head. I do, as a journalist, use Twitter and Facebook in a different way because it's part of my beat check. So every news person has, they go through news sources in the morning, and I actually do it 4 or 5 times a day. And it is a good source.
Yeah.
If you follow the right people.
Crowdsourcing.
Yeah. And an article that everybody's reading, you'll see that. But, Jonathan Abrams was on Twit a week ago, the creator of Nuzzle. That's kind of what Nuzzle is designed to do, is to skim through your Twitter and Facebook accounts and give you the stories your friends are talking about. In a way, this is a more efficient way.
Yeah. Yeah, I was going to say that I don't know if Twitter exactly does anything in terms of news curation that are really well curated and built RSS feed. Well, the thing is, for me, I don't necessarily go to Twitter for news unless it's breaking. I look at it to see what the conversation is. I look at it to see how people are discussing news rather than the news itself. If I'm learning, unless it's an immediate breaking news story, if it's news of the day, I'm probably getting it off of an RSS reader. I'm probably getting it off of the sites that I frequent. It's part of my natural news gathering experience. As Alex knows, him and his house of tabs that he lives in, you just have so many tabs open, you read and you refresh, and that's part of the the news gathering game. I think that Twitter's real thing is the conversation. So if you want to separate the two, I mean, Nuzzle's a great way to do so, I will say.
The only downside of Nuzzle, and I know he's a friend of yours and a guest on the show sometimes, but You have to have a lot of followers for it to really work. I mean, you have a ton of followers. If you only have like 500 followers,
it's based on your followers.
Yeah,
so,
exactly.
Yeah,
so it's problematic for people who have fewer followers.
Right.
Also, if you read your feed at all compulsively, by the time you get to your nuzzle, it's so far out of date, you're kind of laughing. Like that's 47 minutes ago.
That's a good point.
47 minutes is a long time on the internet.
But I do think there's also a generational difference how people use Twitter, because the conversation to me on Twitter is exactly what I don't want to see.
Really?
Yeah, that's the stuff that's kind of throwaway. But I think you young people, you live for that back and forth, right? That messaging, Snapchat.
Yeah, but because it's so awesome, Leo. I mean, I have friends around the world, and when they're in SF, we meet from the internet into the real world. I mean, so it's really expanded my network of humans in a way that could never have happened with pen pals and telegrams. And so now I feel like I have access to everyone.
Yes, because when I was a child, pen pals and telegrams were
Leo
the way
actually
we
founded the
about
Pony
world.
Express. Little did you know. No, but I mean, so to me, it enriches my life in
I
ways
had a telegram pal.
Once old man Leo's done shaking his cane at the children, I'll finish my point.
Go ahead, I'm sorry.
My life is richer and I'm smarter for it. And I know it's a lot of work and messy,
Well, that's
but
debatable, but
I could be a lot dumber. Watch out.
that's true. I don't know what the baseline is.
I also think that Twitter is
Look
a
in the
great
mirror and find out.
Oh,
And this is why you watch Twitter, right? For this kind of back
This is
and
what we do
forth.
all day.
Yeah,
Yeah,
this is what I
anyways.
hate.
You're brilliant, by the way.
I read Twitter, and that's the other problem is it's a language that you guys speak. I read it, I think I'm having a stroke. It's like, what is going on? What are they saying? I don't understand.
I'll be your interpreter for $250,000 a year.
No, because it's like, okay, you know what it's really like? License plates. So you're driving behind somebody, and it says, for youth to be alert. And I go, okay, I'm thinking, what is that? And
then you crash into a pole.
And then you crash into a car. Twitter's just like that. It's like a bunch of license plates that you have to decipher every tweet, right? Is it, or your mind just, it goes, oh, I understand what they're saying. I understand what they're saying.
I mean, I personally use it as a way. What I was going to say is if you want to bring it into a news context, for example, there are a lot of great reporters who often tweet extra
and that's
color
who I follow.
into their stories,
That's
who
who I
often
follow.
tweet about the process of news gathering.
Yeah.
They tweet about, their conversations. Sometimes they'll tweet about something that's coming up and they're like, watch out, there's going to be something new. And I really like that aspect of it.
Is by the way, new Twitter account, Transition 2017. The Transition team has a Twitter account.
Sure.
I think that's run by his 11-year-old son.
You know what? He's
No.
great with the cyber.
No,
No, not
hey,
He
we're
does the cyber.
not doing
I
Baron
know.
jokes.
We're not doing Baron jokes. No, you're right.
No,
Or
kids
Melania
are off
jokes.
limits.
Kids and wives off limits.
Spouses.
Spouses of any kind.
Agreed.
Yeah, could be any gender.
Exactly.
And dogs.
Why are spouses off limits?
Because we're nice people.
Because poor Melania did not sign up for this. Well, maybe she did. I don't know.
Dogs
know-
also.
I
Be
don't know
nice
what
to
the-
dogs. They tell the truth.
Dogs, same thing. Let's not, But I do find this encouraging. I would like to see many Twitter accounts from the White House. I think that's a valuable. Look, maybe they don't give press conferences, but they do this. That's not so bad.
Step down, but I'll take it as a
It's better than
conciliatory
nothing.
option. Most things are.
Especially if it's like filtered,
Hinged.
unhinged, unmediated was the word I was looking for, but hinged will work.
I find myself often thinking about what would happen if Twitter no longer existed. And I think that this is often coming up, especially given the
It might
reports
not.
of turmoil in Twitter's, especially.
Well, that's one of the things that happened is Alex Bain, who is
Adam Bain.
who's a beloved figure at Twitter, the COO, has announced his departure. Do you know? Was he pushed out? Did he?
Oh no, definitely not pushed out.
he left.
He left.
He made a choice.
And why did he leave?
I think 6 years in that really messy company is a long time. If you're leading the torch as the person who brings order to chaos.
I also think he doesn't see a glorious future. He was there for the glorious part of Twitter.
He
and-
was, I think, kind of touted as the next CEO. Then
Yeah.
Jack Dorsey got it.
Yeah,
He probably found out that was never going to
It
happen.
might have something to do with it, although that was months ago.
Yeah.
I will say every time I've interacted with Adam Bain in any capacity, he's been exactly as nice as everyone says he is.
Yeah, it's sickening.
Which to me is so insane. That means
Yeah.
he scales niceness by hand.
Right.
Yeah.
That's just.
I hate that.
I know. I'm not nearly good enough of a person to do that.
So I know I'm never nice to you. So I'm wondering if he hasn't announced what he's going to do.
No, he said that he's going to pursue other projects, but it's not quite exactly sure how that's going to materialize.
That's the
2, 1, venture capital.
Yeah, probably.
Yeah.
But
Bain Capital.
at the same time, though, when you see somebody who is
That's
kind
a
of
good name.
Yeah, isn't that great?
Trademark.
Never heard of it.
But when you see somebody who is basically their presence as an executive is part and parcel of the company or the platform at large. I mean, this is like if Sheryl Sandberg left Facebook,
Right.
everybody be like,
That'd be huge.
why did she leave? What's
Yeah.
going on?
Right.
Because she is such a well-respected and beloved executive there that people would start to panic. And I think that the omens are kind of all there, right? You have the shutdown of Vine. You have the reports of sales talks not going through. You have Adam Bain leaving. You have there are these small signs that say like, okay, well, what's the future here?
So what if it goes out of business? What if we have no Twitter?
It's not going to go
hate
out of
that.
business.
No, but I think Lauren posited an interesting hypothetical.
She's totally correct.
What would we do without Twitter? I would be happy. I would do a little happy dance.
I would be sad.
I'd go to B school and just get into banking. Sorry. No, technology and finance wouldn't be fun for me without Twitter.
Really?
Yeah.
That bad?
I would go back to Google Plus and sulk.
Yeah. You'd be alone.
Party of one. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Beat me too much. You can't steal my jokes like that.
No, party of one is a better statement, though. A better way to say
Took me a
it.
half second longer to get to, though. Yeah.
In time, you will learn.
I'm here to learn from the quasi master.
No. The quasi master?
Come on.
Quasi?
That was due.
All right. I don't know. I feel like the flowers would bloom, the sun would come out, the clouds would lift, and it would be a happy time for all of America. It would make America great again.
Oh my gosh.
I wonder. I don't think that Twitter. I think that Twitter as a company has a large chance of not being as the company as
It's
it is
never
today.
going away.
I don't think that Twitter as a technology will never go away. So understanding that, I think that there's a lot of really interesting opportunities in the fact that if you divorce Twitter the technology from Twitter the business, what does this method of communication become? Does it still exist?
Well,
and if so, how?
It became apparent very early on in Twitter that, in fact, we sometimes called it the dial tone of the internet, that it was in the same sense that the dial tone is the carrier that allows phone conversations possible. Twitter was a necessary feature of the internet, a real-time dial tone that people could use to converse over. So, yeah, maybe Twitter would open source the software. They would give it away. Maybe some benevolent company, maybe Jeff Bezos would just buy the technology and let it run.
Yeah.
Would Twitter be better without management?
So this is, again, I think that at the crossroads of politics, this is something that we have a conversation about a lot, right? Would businesses be better without regulation if there's somebody overseeing it? Or will it end up, breaking down in a way or becoming disadvantageous in a way to consumers?
You don't need to improve Twitter. Twitter is done.
Well, you need.
No, there's no edit. Until there's an edit button. Excuse me, there's an edit button so I can edit my tweets.
No, that would ruin Twitter.
That would ruin Twitter.
That would ruin Twitter.
You're stuck.
Nope.
You're stuck. What you wrote, and you can delete a tweet, but you know what? Doesn't matter.
I want a 4-minute window. Give me a 4-minute window to edit my tweets, and then maybe
you know what that
we-
is? You know what that is? That's hovering your finger over push the send button for 4 minutes.
Sometimes I have typos.
Once it's sent, no, but the problem is the minute it's sent, it's appearing all over the place.
And
Even
people
if
are
you delete it
replying
or
to
edit it, you can't take it back.
I just believe that there's always an opportunity for a more perfect Twitter.
I don't think so.
It was a
I
year
think-
ago.
Yes.
Twitter a year ago.
I think if we say,
perfect Twitter.
in fact, I think we strip out moments. We strip
Yeah,
out a lot
yes,
of that
yes,
cruft,
yes.
right?
Ooh, cruft.
And we just make Twitter be what it's so good at, which is that stream of real
Here's the
time.
irony. The reason nobody wants to buy it is they're losing too much money. And the reason they're losing too much money is they added all that crap.
Which is why Bezos is
They used to
perfect
run
to
this.
pick.
This company used to run with like 250 employees or something like that. I mean,
Could it? I mean, really, if all you did was make sure that the servers were up, that the software worked.
and keep improving and tweaking
No,
just the basic
no.
functionality, but no algorithms.
No, you got the. You've done enough. You got the @reply. You got the hashtag.
I think that'd be great.
You got. I think take out DMs.
What?
No. All right, leave DMs.
What am I going to slide into?
I think.
It's a Twitter joke.
Again, can you explain that? Is that what
Hawk, do you want to do this one?
Is that what you say? The kids, they say, let's slide into DM.
You know, back in the day when you were, say, at the speakeasy or the old-timey saloon, and you'd see a fine maiden
you want to
several
get out of
petticoats.
here?
And you see fine maiden in several petticoats, and
Yes.
you think, wow, I like the cut of her jib. Instead of, say, walking over and asking to buy her a drink, you slide into her DMs and say, what are you doing?
Or like,
wait a minute, people
Hey.
do that?
Twitter.
Like you're sitting there and she's over there. How do you, first of all,
Oh,
how do you-
no, Leo, not in the same room.
No.
This is a general concept.
Instead of
so you're
walking
having a
up and
conversation.
buying
But
somebody
she
a
has
drink.
to be following you already.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
Okay. So you do kind of know.
Twitter is also the world's biggest dating app, by the way. So.
Alex has gotten like 80% of his most recent relationships off Twitter.
Well, 1 for 1 in the last one. So yeah, there you go.
So anyway, okay, we keep at replies.
I love it how Lauren's like, hey, Alex's personal life. Here you go.
We don't change anything. We just take out moments. We take out the video stuff. We take out the ads. You leave trending topics?
Well, I guess it depends on how many people are going
Take
to
it out.
be
Take
running
it out.
Take
Rip
it
it
out.
out. It's toxic.
Strip it down to the metal.
And also you should be able, if somebody replies to your tweet with an @ reply, you should be able to delete their reply.
I agree.
What?
Yes, that's
No.
Every other social network allows you to do that.
But
That's
Twitter
called curating your.
I know,
That's
but the
right.
democratization of responses is what makes Twitter so much fun.
no, it's what makes it such
But
a
it's
great
also
place
makes
for
it a troll
trolls.
place.
Right.
I know, but that
The
means
trolls can go
anything-
do their own feed. They can't hijack my feed. That's all I'm saying. They can't
Yeah,
hijack
that's
my.
not- yeah.
Exactly.
That may be good, but it strikes my censorship buttons in the wrong way. I'll think about it more.
Yeah, but periodically my feed gets loaded with all sorts of crap from one person, by the way.
Right.
Because he tweets like 1,000 times. And I would just like to be able to say, don't put that stuff in my...
Well, that's the mute button. But by the way, before we move on, what's your secret Twitter handle?
My secret Twitter handle.
what is
the
it?
new news.
Really?
Yeah.
Okay, thanks.
Wow, now it's not a secret anymore, man. You just blew your own cover.
That's what I was going for, but it worked way too easily, so it must not have been a secret.
Yeah. So that would be an example of you would like to not have Alex tweet the new news, right?
I can try that out. Hold on, I got to take open.
All right.
Go for it.
The new
MacBook
news.
sales. We talked last week. Everybody was very upset and depressed about where Apple went with the MacBook Pro, where they're going with their Pro line. Jason Calacanis basically said it's over for Apple. And yet sales, according to Phil Schiller, are already surpassing last year's MacBook. Not that that is a benchmark, because the MacBook was a specialized product
And didn't sell that well.
and didn't sell that well. So maybe that number is kind of Apple's way of saying, well, you know, we're like some smoke and mirrors. We're selling.
It's an Amazon kind of like comparative metric. Like we
Yeah.
sold 30% more Kindles this year than last year, which is always very annoying by them. But in this case, Apple is generally good about telling us hard numbers.
You
aren't they?
can't buy it yet in the stores, and I think this is the week people are going to be able to. This is actually where it'll be telling. The people who order it sight unseen are Apple fans who either that or they've had a MacBook so long, the MacBook Pro so long, like I have since 2012. Whatever it is, I have to have the new one. But that's a limited market. Once it's in stores, then you have people actually trying the touch bar, and you have people actually trying the new keyboard, and that's when sales will be an important indicator, how it does in stores, and that's going to happen this week, I think.
So the question is the novelty good or is the novelty not good?
And I don't think you know until you've used it for a while.
No, absolutely not. I mean, to put it in dorky gaming terms, it's the difference between the Wii and the Wii U. Is the novelty
That's a good
universal,
way to put it.
or is the novelty niche specific?
Did you get the NES Classic yet?
Oh my gosh, I called like 4 GameStops. None of them.
It's like
Great, you broke Lauren's.
completely sold out. So so I have no interest, but that's because I'm an old man.
Oh,
The NES came out in 85, right?
Yeah.
So that's 30 years ago. So it would be people who were age 5 or 6 at the time.
So they've been born
No,
in
but
80?
you had one. You're in your 20s. How is it that you have this affection for the NES?
Oh, let me explain this to you. In
She's a
helpful
nerd.
Terms. 1, I'm a nerd. 2, I grew up in a house. I'm 4 of 5 children. My
So
oldest
it
sister
was
is
a
9 years
hand-me-down.
older than me. Well, one of the easiest ways to make mass entertainment for lots of small children is my dad used to pop in an NES game, and we used to watch him play it. That's how I
Watch
grew up.
Dad play.
That's awesome parenting.
That's why so many people are on Twitch today.
Well done.
Yes, and that's
they
why
think they're watching their father.
yeah.
Daddy, come home.
Daddy,
it's
stop
really
playing League of
soothing to
Legends
me.
and look at me.
It's really
Don't
soothing
call me
to
a scrub.
But I mean, I grew up in a gaming family, and that's how it goes. And I personally think the NES Classic is pretty neat for
Which
several.
game are you looking forward to playing the most?
Ooh, that's a good question.
Dragon Quest?
Dragon Quest didn't make.
Was that
Zelda?
That didn't make
Didn't make
it.
the cut? Oh, I'm not buying one now.
I don't think it made it. Probably the one that I'm
30
most
games.
interested in playing for real is a little known title by the name of Star Tropics. It's actually a game that my parents own, and it's actually very cool. It's kind of like a little.
Are you going to like it when you don't have to blow into the cartridge and?
Well, the reason why the NES Classic is such a boon for retro gamers is that it actually has an HDMI port built in. The issue is that when you actually if you run a traditional NES through on a modern TV, so not a CRT television, what ends up happening is that there's a lag that develops because they're actually converting the old AV inputs into HDMI. So the way that you, say, play Mario, which is within fractions of a second, for example, it's the difference between you hitting the Goomba and the Goomba hitting you. So a lot of people are very excited because then it gives them the opportunity to actually play on their modern televisions with the same response that they're used to.
Actually, I read a review on
told you she's a
Geek that said that this is so faithful to the original NES, it actually slows down when you get a lot of players on the screen and everything. I mean, it's like
They didn't mess with the ROM, so the ROM's gonna
yeah, but
continue.
they didn't give the processor too much power either.
They did not.
So they brought the bad bits along with it?
Yeah,
Not
and it has
all
3
of it.
versions. It has a CRT version that
You can get the lines.
the lines and the snow, and then crazy. You remember your first Goomba stop? Who can ever forget? I have
Can we-
I don't know what this language is. This is you young people.
Can we
again.
hear Lauren say Goomba again?
Goomba.
There we go.
Let's
Thank
take
you.
a break. On that note, our show today brought to you by Wealthfront. Wealthfront is love Wealthfront. Wealthfront is a new category. They sometimes call them robo-investors, right? Is that
Robo-advisors.
Advisors. But this does such a good job. It's amazing. Now, the problem that robo-advisors solve, and Wealthfront solves the best of all the robo-advisors, is you need to be saving for long-term, right? You need to have a retirement fund. You need to save for college or that house you want to buy or just a rainy day fund. And savings nowadays doesn't mean putting it in the bank because what is a savings account? Like 0.25% or something. It's ridiculous. So you're actually losing money, I think, because it's barely keeping up with inflation. Instead, you need to invest, but you don't have time. Trust me, you think you have time. You don't have time to run your investment. And if you're going to go out and get an investment advisor, you ought to know traditional advisors charge between 1, 2, or 3% of what they manage. And one of the things that they're talking about deregulating is this rule that requires an investment advisor not to have a stake in the stocks he's telling you to buy. That's going to get turned around, in which case now not only are they charging 1, 2, or 3% of what they manage, you can't even trust their advice. So, Wealthfront, this has fixed it all. First of all, 0.25% a year. That's 25 basis points with no additional charges, no transaction fees, no hidden fees. And it's a computer, so it has no biases. It's doing what it can to maximize your return, minimize your taxes. It does something called tax loss harvesting. You want to test a financial advisor, ask them, are you doing tax loss harvesting? How often are you checking my balance, my portfolio? Weekly, monthly, quarterly, yearly? With Wealthfront, it's every second because it's a computer. The system is based on Nobel Prize-winning academic research of the best investment practices, the best investment advisors, people like Burton Malkiel, Charles D. Ellis. These guys wrote the books, literally, on how to make money on Wall Street, and they have figured it out. And I've talked to so many people now who use Wealthfront because of these ads and who say, it has been great for me. They just introduced their 529 college savings plan. It's kind of like a Roth IRA for college. $3 billion in assets and growing fast because it works. But I don't want you to trust me. I want you to go to wealthfront.com/twit, look at it, take a look at the returns, their historic, returns, see how it works. They'll even generate a sample portfolio for you for free with just a few questions based on, your time frame and your risk tolerance, that kind of thing. And you get that for free. You could just take that with you. See what allocation they'd recommend. And if you sign up to invest, I love this. A little sweetener, they're going to manage your first $15,000 free of charge forever. But you have to go to wealthfront.com/twit. Wealthfront.com/twit. Take a little of that money you set aside for your NES Classic. Put it in Wealthfront. You can start with as little as $500. We had a great week on tour. We had a lot to talk about. And our PlayStation Pro review. You know what? Here's a convenient thing. We happen to have a little trailer that describes it all. Watch.
Previously on Twit.
Many elections were watershed moments, and if you have historical context, this may not be as historic as we want to think it is.
But this, Leo, is our first orange president. We're breaking the color barrier.
Tech News Today.
You may or may not feel let down by last night's election, but one thing that I think we can agree on is the data geeks let us down. Votecasters' mission was to gather, publish, and analyze voter turnout information in swing states. Even though they had so-called data gurus, they got almost all of their predictions wrong.
This Week in Google.
We in liberal establishment media left a void and a vacuum. We didn't listen to and understand the concerns and the worldview of that half of the country. And as a result, that half of the country said, you never reflect us. Why should we trust you? We don't trust you. You don't understand us. It's our fault. We left it there because we didn't respect that half of the country.
Twit. Friends don't let friends miss Twit.
I'm trying to cut back on my carbs like everyone else. I don't know.
There's carbs in Red Bull.
That's why I don't drink it very often.
Oh, okay. He's on his third Red Bull, ladies and gentlemen. Get ready.
I've
and
had
Lauren has drunk
1.0.
apparently 3 quarts of diet something.
Yeah. It's in my blood.
I love the picture. Did you see the picture that Mike O'Donnell is here? This guy is Silicon Valley's staff photographer. He's great. He's already posted a picture of Lauren. Let me see if I can find it here. Oh, gosh. You haven't seen it yet, have you?
It's actually pretty funny.
He's at Photo on Twitter. And let me just really quickly get
also
his...
one of the nicest guys in Silicon Valley.
Here's the picture of Lauren Hockenson.
Nice.
Dear Fries, you make me happy.
For those of you who don't, for people who weren't here in the studio, we did have a group trip to Burger King before we shot to get fries.
That's another thing that's wrong with your generation. Really? Burger King for fries? Burger King?
Okay, I didn't actually have fries.
Listen,
Lauren?
when your options are limited and you can only walk one place.
Oh, you had to walk somewhere. Okay.
Yeah, we got here and then we walked over.
I think I happen to have pancake fries you should try.
Don't tempt me for that.
What is this technology? Can you please explain to me exactly how that works?
We got a big week ahead. Let's find out. Jason Howell has the latest.
Hey, thanks, Leo. Here's a look at a few things that we're going to be watching in the week ahead. On Tuesday, November 15th, Chinese smartphone maker OnePlus is likely to announce a new device, possibly named the OnePlus 3T, that's housing a top-of-the-line Snapdragon 821 processor and an optic AMOLED display. Also on the 15th, drone market leader DJI is holding an event where it's expected to show off its next-gen Inspire drone. That's the company's premium drone line that's targeted at Hollywood creators for aerial photography and dual controller capabilities. MacBook Pro with Touch Bar was scheduled to begin shipping to those who pre-ordered the laptop on Thursday, November 17th, though some early shipping notices began to hit inboxes on Friday. Regardless, we'll begin to see these in the wild any day now. And finally, starting Friday, November 18th and lasting through the weekend, Blizzard is making its huge hit game Overwatch free to play on all platforms. So if you haven't been bitten by the Overwatch bug yet, might as well sacrifice your weekend and realize what you've been missing. Megan Maroney and I will cover all of this and a whole lot more all week on Tech News Today, each and every weekday at 4 p.m. Pacific. That's a look at the week ahead. Back to you, Leo.
Thank you very much, Jason Howell, Monday through Friday. Of course, Jason also does all about Android and covers the latest phones. I saw yesterday the new Echo. By the way, that is the worst name for a company. They're Chinese. Are they pretending to be French? Le Echo.
Oh, those guys. Yeah.
It's Chinese, La Echo.
With the cash crunch. Yeah.
But they have a beautiful new phone, $300, and it's top of the line features all around. I really think that Apple and Google are going to face some stiff competition because they're pricing their phones at $700, $800, $900.
Apple's ASPs don't hold up at that sales rate. So if they sold phones at that level, they'd see revenue declines and profit declines.
Financial analyst, ladies and gentlemen, that's Alex Wilhelm. He's from Mattermark. You can read his brilliant posts there. He's the editor-in-chief at Mattermark.com. At Alex on the Twitter.
True.
Also here, she's on her own now, but we love her anyway. Lauren Hockenson, the queen of the bow. How many bows do you have, Lauren?
Take another bow, Lauren.
Take a bow.
The bow puns are funny because I call my bow collection my rainbow. Because I have them in all colors.
Do you have a special wall in your closet just for bows?
Not on my closet, but on a shelf, yes.
I think it's a great trademark.
Thank you. It's a part of my brand.
Yeah, I love that.
I'm going to steal it.
I wear socks with gold toes, but nobody sees it, so no one knows.
Mm-hmm.
Actually, Peter O'Toole is very famous for every day of his life wearing green socks. And he never wore the same pair twice. He had a fresh pair of green socks every day.
Oh, come on.
No, I'm not kidding. And that's
Snopes.
Again, go ahead, snope it. And is that a verb now? Snope it?
It's got to be.
And again, the thing about the bow is people see it. The problem with the green socks, nobody ever saw it.
Yeah.
Do you actually wear gold-toed socks?
I don't know. Let me check.
Find out.
No, they just. Why do my socks say Carhartt?
See how great fact checking.
Do you dress yourself?
No, I have a valet. I have a valet.
Downton Laporte.
Downton Laporte.
Yes.
He comes in. I call him my Batman.
You should fire him immediately.
I know. They tell me this jacket looks frumpy. Would you agree?
No, I think it looks fresh.
It is. It's fresh out of the box. It's an LL Bean jacket, so it has zippers in everywhere. It's a travel jacket.
Prepping for that meeting with the Explorers Club, are we?
Yes. I have a pith helmet in the back.
The League of Ordinary Gentlemen.
Oh, you are really cruising. I'm telling you.
Hey, I'm sorry. Hey, for the record, I
that was good though.
He's
that
also
was a good
had
one.
7 million Red Bulls.
I know.
I've had,
it makes your
I've
brain,
had
the
one
synapses are
one
firing.
Red Bull. What the hell's wrong
So
with you?
wait a minute. You said something, and I feel like there was a deeper meaning to what you said earlier.
What?
I forgot now.
Contact, the movie, teens.
So, we were talking about
Arrival.
During the break, we were talking about you saw a movie.
I
last
saw
night.
Arrival.
That's Amy McAdams' new movie about the arrival of aliens.
Yes, exactly.
And I've been dying to see this. The trailer looked fantastic, but you said it was good.
I don't want to ruin it because high expectations can ruin. I'm not going to spoil anything.
Okay, good.
But I don't want to raise expectations and ruin it that way. But it is fantastic. Fantastic.
Really?
It's like literally the best alien movie I've ever seen. Really, really good.
I
Really
can't
smart.
wait.
Yeah.
Better than Alien, which is
Well,
my best alien.
That's not an alien movie. That's a horror movie in an alien movie,
Yes.
guys.
That's not
fully.
true.
It's sci-fi / horror.
Yeah.
Okay, sci-fi / horror.
No, I'm with you on this.
There's aliens in it. It's called Alien.
But it's scary as heck.
But it's not. I like First Contact movies. You know, like Close Encounters.
Right.
But or Contact. And what came up was I noticed for some reason on my iTunes chart that Contact, the movie, what is it, 20, 30 years old movie with Matthew McConaughey?
Yep.
And Debbie Gibson? No. Jodie Foster.
We saw her grow up on TV.
We watched her grow up, just like Debbie Gibson.
I don't know who Debbie Gibson is.
You don't know who I'm talking about. You don't remember Debbie Gibson?
He hasn't
He was
made
not
contact with Debbie Gibson.
Anyway,
Is she in
that
Contact?
movie is in the top 10. That's an old movie. Why is it in the top 10? And you, Lauren Hockenson, know, but you refuse to reveal.
See, I love the millennials because that is a great movie. That is a great, great movie, and the millennials recognize it.
I gave my explanation, which is that Contact has seen a resurgence with the teens.
Why?
It's popular on Tumblr.
Why is it popular on Tumblr?
Because it's a great movie.
Is it a meme?
Listen, I don't know
But
why
it's-
the kids.
I have to say this to everybody listening and watching this show, which is that see Arrival as fast as you can because somebody can easily spoil it for you. It's a movie full of surprises.
Okay.
So go see it before somebody wrecks it.
I'm going to ask this very delicately,
Yes.
but there was a recent legalization of a certain thing in California. Would that said thing perhaps increase enjoyment of the show, or would one like to go perhaps a bit more flat in the mental department?
Flat because I wouldn't.
It's like The Matrix. If you had been high...
Oh, we can say hi on the show?
You can say stoned. If you had been...
I prefer whacked.
Gassed, whacked, out of your brain...
Addled
at The Matrix, you probably would have missed the import of it all. You would have come out and gone, as Keanu Reeves did, whoa.
Dude.
But seeing it straight was even more mind-blowing. If
Yeah,
you get
you need all your faculties to get this movie. Half the people walked out of the theater going, what happened? What just happened?
I'll never forget seeing The Matrix with that, and this is why you want to see it soon, because you don't want to... I had no idea what I was going to see.
Right.
I was like an afternoon matinee, and I hadn't read anything. I had no idea.
When Morpheus
And I
told him
walked
what's
out-
going on, you were just like Keanu Reeves,
the blue
like stumbling.
pill, the red pill. I want the red pill. Give me the red pill. I had my eyes were like this going out of the theater because I was thinking. So it's like that.
Yeah, I saw it in Paris, and it's like it hadn't even
Wait a minute,
heard
you were in
of it.
Paris yesterday?
No, I saw The Matrix.
Oh,
in
The
Paris
Matrix,
back when
okay.
it first
That's
came
still a
out.
pretty good brag. Like, where'd you see The Matrix? Oh, I was in Antarctica, no big deal, you know.
Yeah, we saw it twice. We went back the next
Was
day.
it in French?
We saw it once with subtitles and once dubbed.
That would be
It was
weird.
better with subtitles.
Ugh.
Yeah.
Whoa, dude.
The pills are red.
Oh, the pills are so red.
How would you say sentinel in French?
Sentinel.
That's not quite as scary.
Sentinel.
You a sentinel? I don't know. Anyways.
Anyway, see Arrival.
Morpheus. Je suis Morpheus.
What a show.
Are you still talking to me? Because I was totally ignoring you, sorry.
Je m'appelle Neo. No, pardon-moi. Neo. All right. Our show today
I speak teen.
I'm going to do another ad because I feel like a nap. And when I think nap, you know what I think of? My Casper mattress. It's waiting for me at home. Very comfortable. This is a great, great mattress. This mattress is unbelievable. And mine is actually huge because I have the huge. I have the King, the California King. But you can get it in twin, you can get it in king, you can get it in queen, you get it in California King, and at a much more affordable price. Now, I know what you're saying. You're saying, Leo, I'm not going to buy a mattress without lying on it. But really, let me ask you something. The last time you lay on a mattress in a mattress store, was that a satisfying experience? Would you really get a sense of what that mattress is going to be like when you get it home? No, because it's broad daylight, you got your shoes on, and the salesperson's looking at you like, and that's no fun. Not for anyone. So when the Casper mattress comes, see, you know you don't have 1 night or 2 nights or even 10 minutes. You got 100 nights to lie on it, do whatever moves you, whatever you need to test it. I, personally, jumped up and down. And then I invited my close personal friend, Ozzy the dog, to lie on it with me. And when Ozzy said, we have videos.
Is Ozzy heavy enough to like actually...
7 pounds.
Yeah, so
he didn't even put a
skirts
dent,
across.
He didn't put a dent on it, no. Yeah. But he did like it because it has just the right sink, just the right bounce. It's firm because it's got the memory foam, but it also has the latex on top of it that just gives you a little. So your hips. See, this is sometimes your hips like you feel like you're they go in, but then they find respite. It's the 2016 Business Intelligence Group Innovation Award winner. One of the best mattresses you ever. It's the best I've ever slept on. Sleeps cool, so he's never too hot. You're never sweaty. Look at that pineapple. Loving it on the Casper mattress. We're looking at the website, casper.com/twit. If you go there right now, you'll get $50 off your mattress purchase. It's already very affordable because you're buying direct from the factory. It's made in the USA. They ship to the U.S. Free shipping and returns, I should mention, to the U.S. and Canada. But I didn't mention how the return works. So in the first 100 days, if at any point you say, yeah, no, you call them, they come and get it. A courier literally comes and drags it out of your house.
You have to shove it back in the box?
They donate it. No, you do not. It does, by the way, come in a very compact box, opens right up. But no, the courier comes and hefts it out there, and I think they donate it to a local charity.
They take it on as their problem. It's not your problem.
It's not. Anyway, point is you get all your money back. Costs you nothing. I just love it. Casper.com/twit. $50 off. Some terms and conditions apply, so go to the website, Casper.com/twit. And use the promo code TWIT for that $50 deal. All right. It's the ghost in the mattress shell, somebody says.
They were just discussing the trailer for Ghost in the Shell.
Which is mind-blowing.
Scarlett Johansson is a robot, apparently.
Again.
Can we watch that? Because I don't... So Ghost in the Shell is a manga. An anime.
So it originally started as a sci-fi manga series that was then created into an anime that has had, I want to say, 2 separate movies attached to it as well.
Johansson.
Oh, shut up, Scarlett. I'm listening to Lauren. Is this the trailer? She just talks?
It follows what she says. She says, here's the trailer.
The whole concept behind Ghost in the Shell is it's actually it might feel a little hashtag too real for some people if you're not necessarily
because it
was
animated.
It was, and you can watch the anime. I believe it's available on Crunchyroll.
People love it. People love it.
Yeah.
It's like a classic.
It's actually a progenitor or forerunner to The Matrix. The Wachowski siblings actually were fans of Ghost in the Shell, and they've incorporated a lot of the dystopian elements that you see in Ghost in the Shell.
I might have to see this.
It's actually the Japanese name actually is a little bit closer to Ghost in the Shell is the subtitle, but the Japanese loosely translates to, I believe, something like Riot Police.
Mm-hmm. Is she a robot? That geisha?
So she is. She plays. Oh my gosh, she plays a person who is involved in a basically a counterterrorism unit. She suffered a significant accident as a child.
Oh, so she's kind of like the bionic, the bionic man.
Kind of like RoboCop. Yeah. I would, if you have not seen it, I would absolutely suggest like free trial Crunchyroll. Like, please go watch it. It's one of the classic. It's one of the classic animes that if you're really into anything that's related to, I mean, anything that's related to dystopian sci-fi.
It's got a little Blade Runner feel to it.
It's going to feel also, again, a little bit too real. You have post-World War III, nuclear war that has happened. America has fallen and split into several different factions.
So, do you think, because of the current political situation, this will hurt that movie? Don't we want to see like upbeat, uplifting, like Arrival instead of this?
I don't think so.
No?
Specifically because Ghost in the Shell has an incredible following, and again, like I said, it's been such a pivotal piece of inspiration for science fiction. Like it's kind of, again, it's like Blade Runner, but
I can't wait.
More sad.
Escapism.
Yeah,
we want. So
it's not a lot of car chases though, right?
A few.
I'm not a big fan of car chases. Well, you haven't seen the movie, but you saw the cartoon.
Yes.
The animated version. All right.
Yes.
We don't normally do movie reviews. We've just done 2.
Yeah.
Lauren brings her own stuff to the show. She has a really deep cultural appreciation for things that are outside of our orbit.
I think geeks are interested in this.
No, but geekdom is quite diverse.
It is. In fact, we tried on the network to do a lot of kind of geek culture shows and never really got any traction. I think people want harder core tech coverage from us and less like,
it's just hard to find one niche you can kind of talk about once a week that has enough content and enough fans to be a sustainable
Yeah, that's
program.
a good point. It's very, very narrow cast.
Like if we went on the show every week and talked about finance, we'd have 3 viewers in 3 weeks.
Whereas if you talk about iPhone versus Android, you're covering 100% of your audience because everybody's got
one or the other.
The chat room loses its mind. Everyone has a good time.
Daydream is out. Daydream View. It looks like a fuzzy lint-based Gear VR. And it works with, right now, only the Google Pixel phones, but it's supposedly going to work with other Android devices once the manufacturers get their act together. Look at that. That's it. Stephen Hall, 9 to 5 Google, saying very comfortable because it also that, one of the problems I have with VR in general is you sweat. And apparently this not only absorbs your sweat, but can be removed to be laundered.
That's huge. Because if it absorbs my sweat, I want to get it out.
Yeah,
at some point
get
in time.
it out, especially if you're sharing.
Person.
Am I the only person who's actually tested the Daydream View here?
Are you?
Yeah.
Tell us.
So it's actually pretty interesting. It feels kind of weird, like holding.
It's light though, right? It's lighter than the Gear VR or the Vive or the.
Yeah. Oh, absolutely. And someone actually tried to just ask me to describe the fabric that is surrounding it, and I said stretch fabric. It's a stretch fabric.
It
but
is.
It kind of
it's
feels,
a sport fabric. It's the same fabric they use in sport shirts.
It also feels a little bit neoprene-y.
Yeah.
And that's kind of how it feels to me. Is it feels a little bit like neoprene, which again, it makes a lot of sense. But putting it on, I mean, I sort of, it's easy to adjust versus the Oculus and the Vive, which have several straps. And you got to like do some calculations, measure your own head.
Does it have audio though?
It does not. So that's a piece of it. You'll have to connect headphones into the phone. Okay. I used what many people are calling the killer app, which is YouTube VR. And I will say YouTube VR, super neat. It obviously takes advantage of 360-degree videos, but also you're allowed to watch anything in YouTube's current library done on like that fake living room setup.
Yeah, yeah.
Which is also really neat.
Really? You would do that? You'd watch flat 2D video in that thing? Why? Because it's more immersive?
Well, I am an old lady at heart, so I still own a television. So it's not necessily, I would say, like a game changer for someone like me.
Right.
But if you're on an airplane, for example, and you want to watch something, and you have Wi-Fi, that's something that you can do. The one downside that I will say that I found a little bit difficult is that the phone heats up like the Dickens.
Yeah,
and
I
mean that
all of them do this, by the way.
I've used the Gear VR though, and I think part of it has to do with the fact that it is a hard plastic interface that allows for an open back.
Yeah.
And I don't know if it's because it has that
but
stretch
my
fabric.
Galaxy S7 has actually shut down during a VR experience because it gets so hot.
Yes, and
VR.
so after a while, you will get the heat warnings. And you will, you can touch it, and it does feel hot. I wouldn't say like it's burning oven hot, but maybe like a still warm dish hot. That can feel a little bit uncomfortable.
Kind of like a half cooked pudding, if you will.
It's somewhere between a creme brulee and a Ruth's Chris steak.
Do you crack the top of the creme brulee, or do you just go in like a savage?
Now I'm hungry. Thanks a lot, Peter.
Sorry.
I just eat the sugar and
they
leave
love you,
the
Lauren.
Oh, you are a horrible person.
That's more savage.
You're
than
the
you
jerk who
imagined.
licks like the frosting off the cupcake.
We're trying to have a
civilization
civilization here, Leo. Come on.
Anyway, you liked it. $79, so it's more expensive than cardboard, but it's less expensive than any other solution.
I think it fits. I think it fits really nice. I think it's really easy and accessible. The one gripe that I always have is that I don't necessarily think it is small face friendly. You know, if you've got kids or if you've got, you know, people with small faces, they might feel like it's still a little bit too big in the optical space is a little bit too big. That's what I find to be my biggest difficulty in being able to like see underneath, like through the nose. Like I have that problem.
Right.
But that could also probably be a fit thing. It's like a good first crack. If you're really interested in getting into VR, but you don't necessarily want to upgrade your rig, or you are not a PlayStation 4 owner, it's definitely the way to go if you want to see something that's more accessible, less resource driven, and also it's got some cool stuff.
And you probably used it with the Pixel XL, the bigger phone.
No, I used it with the OG.
Because I have the little Pixel.
Looked great.
Okay. That was because this is 1080p. That was my concern. This might be lower.
It looked really nice, and there wasn't. I didn't feel like there was an absence of that immersive feeling with the smaller phone.
Any stomach upset, nausea?
No, but I didn't.
Do you
play
get it
anything
anyway?
I have.
Okay.
One time I got a little bit overzealous playing Minecraft and had to sit outside on.
Oh, me too.
Yeah.
Me too. That was really easy to get sick on the Minecraft.
Yeah.
I don't know why. But
the flying and change of perspectives.
you're looking up a lot.
It's the controller. It's the controller feeling. It's hard to describe. It's like a disconnect between the way
That's
that
what
you
it
want
is.
to move.
Yeah.
And also for me, I find that having to turn my whole body to look at something makes me nauseous.
Oh, very quickly. Yeah.
I will say that I think that it's probably because of the resource barrier involved in having a phone-based VR system makes it so that those high-motion games really aren't a factor. So you won't have as many opportunities to puke your guts out. But I think that if you're like a media consumer and you really want something that's going to kind of show off VR, but like in a friendly, like, hey mom, try this on Thanksgiving kind of way, and not a like, I want to be in the world of Minecraft kind of way, then that is definitely the way to go. And it's definitely more of a crowd pleaser than cardboard.
And it's only $80?
Yeah.
So it's kind of like a dip your half foot, not toe, in the water in VR. I like that.
Yes.
It's better than the ones that comes from Kellogg's for free in the box, but not as good probably as the Oculus or the Vive.
No, nowhere near.
Yeah.
Okay.
Or the PlayStation VR for that matter.
Have you used the PlayStation VR?
I have used the PlayStation VR. I actually had an opportunity to demo it at PlayStation's campus. Oh my gosh, back when it was still in development.
Yeah, they were in here showing it. I got to play with it. I was very impressed.
I think that if you own a PlayStation 4, that's the logical progression. And if you are interested in VR, then that's really the way to go. You don't have to worry about buying a new phone and having hit the resource ceiling. You don't have to worry about upgrading your PC or building your own PC or having like these 70,000 USB ports that you need for the HTC Vive. It plugs already in. It's not perfect. I would say like in terms of like the fidelity to the VR experience, what people love about the Vive and the Oculus, you're not going to get with 100% all cylinders firing on the PlayStation 4. But if you, just because of processing power, but if you already own a PlayStation 4 and you're thinking about VR, like that's my recommendation.
It's interesting. Ben Popper at The Verge and 9 to 5 Google both agreed with you that YouTube VR is the killer app for Daydream.
Yes.
Stephen Hall writing for 9 to 5 Google.
It's a hoot.
Why?
It's a good time.
Why is it a hoot?
There's so much content, right? For one thing.
You can. It's basically
I even have
if it
360-degree videos.
If it's in HD,
YouTube.
If it's in HD, you can watch it. It doesn't need to be VR.
Right.
And so if you, like I said, if you are somebody who doesn't really own like a huge monitor, if you're a laptop only kind of person, or if you want to have greater entertainment immersive value while traveling, it's really great. I personally think that it was a lot more fun and a lot more useful than some of the in-app, like the media apps that I've seen. I don't know, something about the way that YouTube has created its VR app. It feels very natural and also allegiant to the YouTube experience. It feels like you're just in a bigger YouTube. You're in YouTube the room.
5 word choice points for allegiant in that case. That was excellent.
Yes, well done. Well done.
As a word dork, I appreciate that.
I've got 2 college degrees.
Wow.
How's that working out for you?
That's an overachiever.
Pretty good, actually.
Pretty good. Pretty good.
For the record, whenever Lauren and I fight, we're actually pretty good friends. Just heads up.
On the other hand, when you and I fight,
definitely not friends.
it's because we deeply hate
Bad
each
blood.
other.
That's why we put it next to each other every time.
Shall we do? We're going to save the dessert for last.
The emoticons?
Yeah, we won't eat the sugar off the top quite yet. There were a couple of more stories I want to mention this week in cyber. DDoS attack halts heating in Finland.
Oh my gosh.
That seems, we're in the middle of winter. It's getting pretty cold in Finland. Maybe this is not the best time. This is from metropolitan.fi, news from Finland in English. And apparently the site has been DDoSed because I can't load it.
It's 27 degrees Fahrenheit right now in Helsinki.
Oh, it's not that cold.
That's still below freezing.
Yeah. Disabled computers that were heating buildings in 2 properties in the city of, and I shouldn't speak Finnish.
No, go for it, please.
Lappeenranta.
That was excellent.
Lappeenranta. Both of the buildings managed by the same company, and apparently the systems control the central heating and water circulation disabled by DDoS attacks. Really, I could do a whole thing on this week in DDoS attacks.
Yeah.
There's a new attack that reportedly lets one laptop, it's called, you'll like the name, Black Nurse. I didn't name it. It lets one laptop knock off big servers using ICMP, a special kind of ICMP target attack. Normally you need hundreds of gigabytes, in fact, in some cases, terabytes, or terabits, I should say. The attack that took Dyn DNS offline and the Krebs website offline was a terabit per second and more. But this one is very effective and merely needs 15 megabits to target the firewall, and the firewalls then drop so many packets. Apparently a problem in Cisco firewalls, drop so many packets that the server behind the device just disappears. So one laptop can bring you down. Nice. There's some good news. Russian banks hit by cyber attack. The cyber, we don't know, though, if it's a Russian attacker, right? The state-owned, ironically, Sberbank. I think they misspelled cyber. Sberbank brought down also by a DDoS attack. Kaspersky says is among the largest it had seen aimed at Russian banks.
Kaspersky does a very good job of always getting their names in security stories.
I know, they're good.
They have really effective PR.
They're good.
So this adult friend finder.
That's the next one, the big one.
Yeah.
Probably bothering a few people right now. Friend Finder Network owns a lot of adult sites.
Penthouse, Strip Show, iCams. Not that I'm an expert on
Cams.com. You seem to rip those right off.
Encyclopedic knowledge of this whole space.
412 million accounts, email addresses, and passwords. As far as the reports go, no sexual preferences were released.
What's interesting about this is that everybody remembers the Ashley Madison hack. That was only 32 million accounts. This is 412 million. That's
and
massive.
Worse, according to leaked source, the Friend Finder Network had stored their passwords in plain text or using SHA-1, which is easily broken. ZDNet obtained a portion of the database and not only confirmed its legitimacy, but was able to crack almost all the passwords with simple rainbow tables and so
Here's
forth.
hoping that all of those users had their trash tertiary Yahoo accounts associated with Adult Friend Finder.
Although it's ironic to bring up Yahoo accounts in this context. But
You did get the most recent access time and date, so don't try to deny it, gentlemen. If you
Here's the worst part. The hack also revealed that 15 million accounts that users had deleted were also released. So people, if you deleted your Friend Finder account, it's still out there.
You thought, maybe I'll try it once just to see what happens. Too late.
Now you're going to find out what happens.
Yeah.
Never date.
Never date.
Never
Wait,
date.
Wait, really?
No.
Okay.
No, if you don't date, how are you going to reproduce? Never date.
Not on
Actually,
Adult
never
Friend
date.
Finder.
I'm sorry.
You set that one up for
Never
yourself?
date.
Ding.
Let's talk about emojis when we. Before we do, Snapchat.
I did this.
Did any of you get to the vending machine today?
I
want the
Big Sur?
spectacles. Yeah, it was like in the middle of nowhere.
Yeah.
And there was still a line.
And there was a long line.
False scarcity works as a marketing technique.
So they don't have many of these spectacles, but where they're selling them, I guess, is they're doing kind of pop-up vending machines, which they announced shortly before it becomes available, So people, where do they watch? You watch on Snapchat, obviously, right?
Yeah, it shoots this kind of like circular video in a square, and you can only see the circle. And I saw some footage from one today. It was just not that cool, frankly.
Oh, really?
No.
So we don't have to get excited about this? I want a pair so bad.
Well, okay, here's a question.
Oh, go ahead.
Go ahead. I insist.
I was just gonna say I want to see the photo quality on it. Like to me, the only thing that I'd be interested in is if it shoots a photos or videos at like this much better quality than the phone, and then not only do you get like the sort of day in the life look, but then you actually have like a reason to use it, because otherwise, like, pull out your phone, take a selfie.
What I want to know is, why was Google Glass such a catastrophe of privacy violation, whereas the Snap glasses are okay?
Funny.
There's a big difference between what the spectacles can do and what Glass can do in terms of recording length, audio quality,
and
where it's saved to.
It's obvious that I don't know.
On Google Glass, it was always obvious.
There was a little light, and these light up here instead.
Yeah.
But they're so incredibly dorky, people aren't going to wear them all the time anyways. So maybe
I would also say that we're not going to get to that argument until they have a mainstream distribution at the capacity that Google Glass had. The more people that you see with them, and if they do become an everyday wearable,
which they won't. No way.
Yeah.
They're only supposed to sell a few thousand this year.
So they're only $130. That's another difference.
Well, for now.
1/10 the cost.
They're only appealing because it's a fad, it's new, they're hard to get, etc. As soon as they're just generally available, nobody's going to care. It's going to be really dumb.
Yeah, this most recent one this morning, you had to hike through a state park to get to the vending machine.
And they look like Party City sunglasses.
Yeah.
Party City?
Yeah.
What's that?
The Party Supply Store.
Oh, thank you.
They're
look cheap.
They look like just plastic glass.
Cheap plastic glasses.
Like New Year's Eve glasses or something.
Now I get it.
They're so smart to manage a scarcity like this, because if you do have a pair, all your friends will go, oh, you have the spectacles, and
it's like the rose gold iPhone. Like, oh my gosh, they sold out all 7 of them.
But
I had heard that they were going to offer them to heavy influencers on Snapchat first.
Yeah.
But this vending machine thing is even better, because if you hear, oh, you got to be an influencer on Snapchat, that I'm going to go, well, never. But I might be able to get to a vending machine that was in Santa Monica, Loma Vista, now Big Sur.
I think it's an incredibly intelligent marketing tool, but I'm not sure how good it is for a revenue driving tool. And that's what Snapchat needs the spectacles to be, a revenue positive, gross margin positive device. They need more revenue, they need to go more quickly. And so far, I don't see it as what I was hoping to see as a dork. All right, I'm not cool enough for Snapchat.
Do you use Snapchat?
No.
Really?
No.
Well, no wonder you're not interested.
No, I said I'm not cool enough to use Snapchat.
Lauren, you use Snapchat.
I use Snapchat occasionally.
Yeah. Who uses it? Younger people that's using it?
I find that people in our demographic and all the way down through, I would say there are people who have a lot of value in Snapchat. I'm personally, I just don't find it to be like I'm not very creative in the way that I think that I would need to be.
It's too much work for me for something that's going to disappear in 24 hours.
This is why my Instagram is also kind of anemic. Sorry.
Also,
Instagram
I look
followers.
horrible in selfies. So my face disincentivizes my actual use of the product. Yeah. I feel like I don't know. It doesn't really come out that well.
Did you see the first episode of season 3 of Black Mirror yet? So
I've heard it's really good.
It's all about basically this. Everybody lives on their cell phone. Of course, at first it says this isn't science fiction. Everybody's walking around looking at their cell phone. But you rate everybody. Everybody, constantly.
Yeah.
Right? And if your rating drops below 4, you can't get things. Like, they won't let you rent a car. So, no, that you're under 4.1, you're going to have to use that line.
So what if Tinder, but for oppression?
Yeah, and it's very oppressive.
Well,
it's a great episode if you haven't seen it.
Our soon-to-be president's a big fan of the 1 through 10 rating system. Perhaps that was a preamble.
You're at 10 in my book.
Out of 100?
Out of 100. That's very good, yeah. I didn't even have to make up a joke.
Got your back.
Our show today brought to you by Squarespace. I'm so excited. Squarespace, and my LeoLaporte.com is my Squarespace site, made it very easy, literally a checkbox to do HTTPS now on your website. They're using Let's Encrypt, but that you don't even need to know the back end of that. You're getting TLS, secure encryption, automatically if you have a Squarespace site. Just one more reason to use Squarespace. Squarespace is the best hosting. They're a host, plus the best software that make it easy, super easy for you to create a gorgeous website that is your aesthetic, your thing, whether you're a business, an individual, a journalist, an artist. It's great for portfolios. If your online store, it's never been easier to sell online. Mobile's built in. Every site is mobile responsive. That means you don't have multiple sites. You have one site that looks great no matter what size screen. And actually, if you go and set up a trial site, which is free, you'll see, because all you do is take your browser, squeeze it down, you'll see how every page just kind of automatically resizes. When you upload a picture, it generates, I think, 9 different sizes of that image, so that you always have the option to work great on there, like that. See how good it looks? Every template. Plus, every template comes with Commerce. The new Squarespace Commerce app, which you run on your smartphone, lets you fulfill orders, manage product inventory. Yes, manage product inventory on a Squarespace site without an additional add-on. That's part of the deal. You can resolve customer issues directly from iOS or Android. Plus, with Squarespace Commerce, it's the only platform that lets you create, manage, and brand your store in a beautiful way. It doesn't look like something hanging off the side of your website. It looks exactly like your website. It's integrated right in there. They have a basic e-commerce plan, an advanced plan with features for your growing business, and they handle the payments infrastructure so you can accept payments right away. You don't have to go hat in hand to a bank or anything. With an annual purchase at a Squarespace site, you'll get a free domain. They do sell domain names now. They have 300 TLDs. You can get a domain name of your choice. And by the way, your landing page is gorgeous. It's not one of those, I don't want to say the other guys, but the jokey landing pages where you registered a domain name, but you never made a site, and they get this disgusting page. No, you get a beautiful Squarespace page. I love Squarespace. And man, it really confirmed to me how much I love Squarespace when and I did this during Security Now on Tuesday. Steve mentioned this, and I said, that's awesome. And I literally logged into my Squarespace site, checked a box, and now I'm HTTPS. LeoLaporte.com.
Wow.
Look, I'll show you. I'll show you. Go to Settings. You go to Security and SSL, and it's a checkbox. That's it. Secure,
Insecure.
Preferred, or insecure. But I went there. I didn't have HTTPS, so it said insecure. And I said, oh, I'd like to make it secure. That's it. That's the easiest HTTPS I've ever done.
Who chooses insecure?
Yeah, right.
The Joker.
They're thinking to describe themselves. Well, I'm pretty insecure.
I'm insecure.
I guess I should click that.
Actually, if you have an existing Squarespace site, make sure you go and turn that on, because it is fantastic. Squarespace.com. You can get a free trial right now. And if you decide to buy, you'll save 10% if you use the offer code TWIT. It's also a way you can tell them that you heard it on TWIT. And do that, because Squarespace now advertises on every darn podcast in the world, and they got to know you heard it on TWIT, right?
Just adding to that, my personal website is on Squarespace.
It's good, isn't it?
Yeah. Well,
it's easy.
I can't code, so.
Well, that's the thing. I can. I for years did my own site from the scratch. I was, self-hosted using WordPress. I used a TypePad, every possible, blogging platform.
We use it for everything. When my son got married, you went to the wedding. This Kevin
Perfect.
Nadia. Put it on there. It was beautiful.
It's easy.
Just beautiful.
Yeah.
My wife's food blog is on there. It's like so easy.
I've now started to use it for my pictures. In fact, I have a bunch of pictures to upload from our trip, because it's a beautiful portfolio for you.
Right.
Yeah. The new emojis are here. We actually had a great interview with Jeremy Bruges, who is the founder of Emojipedia, yesterday on the new screensavers. He was here actually after Twit last week, and I said, come back. He was going to the Unicode Consortium meeting. He's on the Emoji Committee.
Remember that show?
There's an Emoji Committee?
There's an Emoji Committee.
Yep. Wow.
In fact, he tells me that some of the other people in the Unicode Consortium are a little miffed at all the attention emojis get, because Unicode is a whole lot more than emojis. It's the character set, and Apple and Google and Microsoft and everybody goes in there, and they, it's engineers, and they figure out what can we do, what the representation of every graphic is. But they also get every year hundreds of requests thousands of requests for new emojis, and they approve 59 of them. Now, do you guys, I keep asking you millennial questions, like you're the only millennials I know. But
you have children.
I have children. But you use emojis, right? I use emojis. Is it just moms that use emojis and dads?
I started out using them ironically to make fun of people that use emojis, but then I found the chart emojis and got totally enamored, and I've fallen down the hole since
What are the
then.
chart emojis?
They're
little graphs?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So those are useful in my day-to-day life.
I just feel like, look, I'm a good writer. You guys are all writers. English is an amazing tool, but it doesn't always communicate things like sarcasm, emotion.
Yeah.
And so that's where emoticons came from initially. And emojis, I think, are a very refined way to enhance prose.
And the new one is helps people who are in disenfranchised groups. For example, there's a hijab emoji.
I love that
there's
they
a
do
breastfeeding emoji, and the one in my group, my whatever I said, group, pie.
Pie is back.
Pie is back, and I
Pie
need
is here.
the pie people have to be represented.
Against the forces of cake, obviously.
Obviously.
And the jerks
Obviously.
over in the pastry domain.
Obviously.
Just completely
There's
out.
really
Don't even get me
interesting
started about the
thing.
pastry people.
Is the emoji committee, it has to be very politically correct. It's got to be global, right?
Right.
And it also has to be gender neutral. Google's been really strong on insisting this, to their credit. So all the career emojis, policemen and stuff, have to have a male and female counterpart. They ran up a little this is weird, a little problem with breastfeeding. Now, one would think that'd be the domain of women, but I'm told, Jeremy tells me 1% of all men can breastfeed. Something to look forward to aspire to, right?
Wow,
So
yay.
the way they solved this, they didn't want to have a male and female breastfeeding, so they just cut the head off the emoji. So there's no apparent gender.
But look, the fish woman is clearly a woman.
They have
That's
both.
a mermaid.
Oh, they do.
They have
They
merman.
call it a
Technical term is
in the emoji committee, it's a mer person, and there's a male and female.
Oh my gosh, actually that's amazing.
Isn't that great?
Yeah. I'm all for about equal representation
Now I can wear a
of mer
fishtail
people.
too.
You always could.
And
honey.
I don't have to wear the silly shell bra.
Or
You could. Do I?
Gender bending.
Well, if you're breastfeeding, you don't need it.
Right.
He's not in the 1%.
I don't know. You don't know. You don't know.
Look, there's an emoji that represents all the nuts out there.
Actually, I don't know if this got approved. These are
That's for the
proposed
almonds.
emojis. 59 new ones in the Unicode standard. They won't get there immediately because your operating system has to be modified and so forth. There's a shh emoji, although the Unicode committee doesn't describe it as shh because that's not globally understood. They just say finger over mouth.
yes, it means different things in different countries.
What does it mean? What other things could it mean?
I'm not exactly sure, but I mean hand gestures in
I
general.
think in Italy, almost every hand gesture means you're a cuckold, right?
I think so.
I think that's what it means.
I certainly couldn't comment.
I slept with your wife. If you do that, anyway, I'm just guessing. I don't.
Somebody go to Italy and find out.
I don't speak Italian.
Given the recent politicization of the word cuck, we should probably avoid the entire topic.
Yeah, that's...
Is cuck short for cuckold?
Yeah.
Yeah. What I will say is that pictures are 1,000 words. So by the transitive property, that means an emoji.
59,000 words.
An
were just
emoji
approved.
is at least worth 1,000 words.
An emoji
So-
is just kind of a frozen sentiment in picture form, right? So it's kind of a hashtag without words or letters, which is fine. It's a cool way to go about communicating. It's not better than words, but it's a useful additive in certain contexts.
I find sometimes that it's very important. For example, when I am texting with my significant other and I say, "Can you get milk from the store?" and he texts back a dog emoji, that means
What does that mean?
That means yep, that's
Because
it.
dogs are subservient.
No, we've just co-opted
Don't
the
define
dog
her relationship.
We've co-opted the dog emoji as a way for us to
But it's an
acknowledge like
inside
partnership.
meaning.
Yeah, it's like a partnership
Oh, that's
relationship.
nice.
Instead of saying like smiley face or kissy face, we do
Use a
dog
doggy.
emoji because it
See, it's
means
got
like
your own
it
personality.
means it's like agreement. It means like agreement or like kind of like a
Well,
saying Roger.
Now, if you forget your hijab, you can just send an emoji to him, and he can send you.
Yep, exactly.
The hijab emoji was proposed first by Raouf Al-Umedi. She's a 15-year-old girl from Saudi Arabia. She told the BBC during a group chat with her friends on social media, she realized there was no emoji to represent her, a headscarf wearing woman. I love that.
and she wrote an email in. That's so great.
And they helped her. Actually, a member of the Unicode subcommittee said, "You're right," helped her write a proposal because there's a very specific RFP that they have to follow. And it was approved.
In hindsight, it's very obvious that should have been there from the get-go.
I agree.
But to me, and I write a lot about writing, so I even have an article out there right now about writing for 2017 as opposed to 2016. Check it out. But emoji there's a necessity because of the exposure of social media, in my opinion. There's a need for vagueness, and emoji fills that need. So emoji helps you be vague. It helps you communicate things without being specific. This is the Finland emoji.
So the government of Finland proposed 4 emojis. There's a person in a steamy room, that's sauna. There's woolly socks.
Because it's cold.
Because it's cold. But I don't get the heavy metal
Metal.
headbanger.
Heavy metal.
Yeah.
Dude, Northern Europe is famous for cultivating and making black and death metal and just death metal in general very popular. And so
Finland is the home of death metal?
You've touched on Alex's
fans.
dork
Finland,
topic.
yeah,
Which is
exactly.
death metal.
It's just people.
See, it sounds like that.
Right.
The baby did a great impression of death metal.
The baby was actually doing this.
Its hands were both up. They have more death metal bands per capita
Now,
than any other country.
I should point out the way it works is there's a text description of the emoji, and then every company that implements the emoji, Apple, Facebook, Twitter,
Finmoji.
does their own version of this. So this is the kind of the sample that the emoji committee provides. I love this. It's a gender neutral, right? So we don't need two. We need one. Could be a man, could be a woman. Doing the hook'em horns, right? That's what that is.
Devil
Hook'em
horns. Devil horns. The hook'em horns is Texas, like this. This is devil horns for metal.
What's the difference between hook'em horns?
Well, one's about
The
a
angle.
steer, one's about
The
the devil.
angle?
Yeah, so Texas, metal. Texas, metal.
What if you're into Texas metal?
So if you're a Texas
You
Aggie
bend one down and cry.
and
Thank
you're
you.
into metal, do you do like one narrow and one wide?
Actually, if you're looking for a band recommendation in Southern metal, check out Down. Great group.
Okay. And
What's
then
the other one?
That's a Rosie the Riveter, right?
yeah, what does that have to do with Finland?
Women are strong. Girl power.
Girl power. So I think that this is pretty interesting. I mean, obviously you have Unicode emoji, which is one aspect of this, but you also have the ability, thanks to new keyboard functionality on smartphones, that you can create emoji for whatever you'd like. Right. For example, the Joanna Stern from Wall Street Journal, she actually has an entire emoji set that is drawings of her dog. So
Which
and
was
then-
drawn by Nathan Oliveira's Giles.
Yeah. They did it together. Yeah.
And so you can create your
But you can
own-
buy that. I bought or downloaded from the Apple
Yeah.
Messages store, and I did.
And I think that it's great because although I
So those
think
are
that-
stickers, not emojis.
So here's the thing, right? I think that it's really great, and there's a great opportunity to expand Unicode and to create more emojis that better befit the global experience, right? And that more people are interested.
It's okay. You can leave her here.
We have
Just use the baby emoji.
baby emoji, baby alert emoji.
I love it.
But I think that it's great that Unicode, we're able to expand on it, and that it will take some time, and I do appreciate the process of it, but I also appreciate the fact that there is a grassroots opportunity. If you really love emoji and you want to speak to your friends in a certain way, you can create and download those keyboards, those stickers, and really do it kind of DIY.
I kind of prefer that. I use stickers, and I also use animated GIFs, and I love that Apple and others have given us a search tool so I can search for baked beans and send somebody a baked bean animated GIF.
I've never
would
heard
you
of
do
a
that?
baked beans animated GIF in my life. Why would you want to do that?
Somebody in Boston.
This is some old memes.
Oh,
Senior
some
memes.
old memes.
Senior memes.
I want beans for dinner.
I want emoji.
Way
sometimes
back in the
can't-
Depression, we're going to
can't
have
top
beans
what
soup.
Leo
Actually,
says.
I got a
Perfect.
text this morning from my wife. I was up. She wasn't yet. And it was, at first, the reason I thought of baked beans, it was a cup of coffee. It was a nonverbal text. It was a cup of coffee. And then what I thought were beans. But it turned out, I brought her some beans, but it turned out she meant to send me grapes. She wanted grapes, not beans.
So this is why we have words.
That's amazing.
So words might have been a better.
You heard about
much-
the words?
I'm much better with the words than with the emojis. That's what I get. If I got paid to write emojis, it'd be pretty interesting, though.
I'm trying to.
I'd try it.
Not me. I
That
like the
story
words.
reminds me of a great family tale of mine where my dad got the shopping list to go to Costco, and my mother had written down eggs.
Yeah.
But instead, he bought a Costco-sized box of Eggos.
See the difference?
we
Was that
had-
actually an accident, or was that on purpose?
I would
You know what?
prefer
My
it.
dad is a clever dude. I'm pretty sure. I mean, all of us were like, nice.
I wonder if this is really a fertile territory for couples, that they have their own emoji language that they. Sounds like you do, and sounds like I do.
I mean, we have your own language already, but how you talk to one another, what jokes
Yeah.
are okay, what names you
Yeah.
call each other.
Yeah.
It's
Yeah.
I think standard.
It's just nice that it's a part of the greater communication experience. I'm all for messaging apps being enhanced rather than nichifying apps in a way. Like, I don't want to have my own app to talk to my family or to my partner. I want to be able to use the platform that I know and love, which is normally iMessage, but sometimes actually it's even Facebook Messenger. I know.
No, you know what? I use that as the default SMS messenger on my Android phone.
Facebook?
It's great.
Facebook Messenger.
Facebook Messenger is great if
That's
you
a-
switch between phones. Facebook Messenger is really reliable.
Desktop,
Federated. Yeah.
phone, it's everywhere. It's federated. This is a real gap, actually, in what Google's up to in their strategy.
Google has a
because
number.
they should own this. They should have Allo or maybe Hangouts. They had it for a while.
Yep.
They should have a standard across the board, and they don't. So I use. I have Hangouts, and people Hangouts me. But on my Google Fi Pixel, I'm using Facebook Messenger.
Do you
as my
think
SMS.
Google will ever actually build a social product that we all want to use?
No, I don't know what's wrong with Google. There's something wrong with them.
Maybe they're not a very social company inside. Hypothesis. That was
interesting hypothesis, though. Maybe they don't get it because they don't like people.
See, this is why I stopped talking there. Yeah,
I think we should all stop talking because this has been a damn long show. But you know what? When you get these people together in a room, it's so much fun. I just didn't want to stop.
You should do an entire show just using emoji. We just put them on the screen.
I wouldn't make it.
How horrible would that be?
It'd be horrible.
I say right language.
I'd love to see the chat only have emojis.
Oh my gosh!
Actually,
the
chat is emoji enabled.
Is it?
Yeah. So
wait, guys, can you try that?
Let's see some emoji chat.
Creamy corn cob.
What we should do for the next 5 minutes is chat, no words, just emojis.
You have the show.
Can we Instaban stop using words?
And while they try to figure out how to do that, we're going to wrap this puppy up. Lauren Hockenson, everybody should follow your Nothing Matters podcast. It sounds nihilistic. It sounds depressing. It sounds horrible, but it's not. It's great. It's fun. It's funny. It's enjoyable, right?
Yeah. I mean,
delightful, delectable, innervating.
Does it matter?
I mean, I can only be, a nihilist for so long. I'm not totally dead inside.
Why don't you do a show called Everything
That'd be
Matters?
a good title too.
I'm not dead inside.
That's another one.
I'm not totally dead inside.
You know, there's so many great podcasts out there just waiting to be done.
Please don't make them. There's already enough podcasts out there.
There's already enough. Stop right now. Ladies and gentlemen, Mike Elgan, you're going to stay with us a little bit because you're waiting for a baby?
Yes, and you're talking about in America. Yes.
Yeah. Not here.
I'm not going to stay here.
Not here.
You're going to
stay in the United States because you are a digital nomad. You go all over the place.
That's right.
BecomingNomad.com is a great site if you're interested in.
It's also the Twitter handle for Becoming. So if you want to follow the Twitter handle, it's a great place. I also have a podcast, fatcast.audio. It's about food technology and technology. So this is a lot of my travels.
Travel pictures and stuff. They're so
but
great.
I'll be around till at least the end of January. Because I'm
good. I'm really, and I hope we'll get you back.
Yeah. I still consider myself nomadic, even here in the U.S.
Yeah.
By the way, being nomadic doesn't mean you have to leave the country. It means that you live wherever you want for whatever reason you want.
Sure.
And so I live in Southern California. I live in Northern California. I jump around. I'll go out east and hang out with some of my friends and family out east. So BecomingNomad.com, fatcast.audio, and Elgan.com. ELGAN.
ELGAN.
He only worked for you.
It's not that hard.
Yeah.
It really isn't. I don't know why I always want to add an A or two and some other vowels.
It's free country. It's free country.
ELGAN is very simple.
Yeah.
You are at mattermark.com. That's Alex Wilhelm.
Yes, sir.
I think I
Or just
you.
Alex on Twitter.
At Alex.
Coveted Alex.
Coveted.
Handle.
Highly coveted. That's why you can't ever leave.
That's actually not incorrect. Yeah.
Right.
I have a huge investment there.
Yeah.
Time, so forth.
I could have been at Leo. I joined December 2006. There were no other Leos, but I declined. I decided to use my full name. And now I'm glad because you know what? Matt Honan, remember at Matt, M-A-T, got hacked solely because some kids, some script kiddies wanted his 3-letter Twitter handle.
Yeah, Twitter's not going to let you get away with that if you hack it. So don't steal my name, guys, please.
No,
That'd
it's not
be rude.
good. It's not okay. Matt still has his handle. And those kids, they're in jail. No,
Long time. Life
no,
sentences.
they're not. Actually, I think one of them did go to jail.
Is that where you get the twit interns?
Yeah. Yeah. We love hackers who've done time because we feel like
they're cheaper.
If you haven't done time, you can actually put up with Leo's management style. So it's kind of one of those
just
one-to-one
call me
things.
Warden.
Right.
We do Twit every Sunday afternoon, 3 p.m. Pacific, 6 p.m. Eastern Time, 2100 UTC. Please join us and watch live. You can be in the chat room. They're doing a good job of emojis. Not everybody can do emojis, so some are doing emoticons. And, of course, it wasn't too long before the poop emoji showed up.
It was the first one, I think.
Yeah.
It's a Control Command Space Bar if you're on OS 10.
Is it really?
Yeah, Control Command Space Bar.
That's useful.
Yeah.
I have to say that there was a change at the emoji committee. We talked to Jeremy Bruges yesterday about that. Originally, because I said, it's not poop, right? It's frozen yogurt, chocolate. He said, no, it's poop. And originally, it was described as a pile of poop with flies flying around it.
Oh, that's right.
Oh.
Yeah.
And they decided to change the flies for eyes. So now the emoji is a pile of poop with eyes, which is...
And there it is.
Yeah. It's actually creepier than flies.
The more you know.
The more you know. Visit your local library, kids. If you want to be in the chat room, irc.twit.tv. If you want to be in the studio, man, we had a great studio audience.
Yeah, great audience.
I love you guys. Email tickets at twit.tv. We'll put a chair out for you, although we accommodate people as they show up, too. Really nice to have this wonderful studio audience. And I thank you all for being here. But really, I know, Westworld, you got to go, and I understand. Thanks for joining us. We'll see you next week. Another Twit is in the can. Bye-bye.